Hi, my name's Melinda Price. In 2024 I'm racing in Radical Cup Australia with Volante Rosso. Very much old dog new tricks kind of thing, trying to get jiggy with the technology here. The OG gear is fantastic. The socks are really comfortable, gives you enough movement on the pedal, but they still breathe really nicely. And the gloves are super comfortable. They breathe a little bit better than your racing gloves. Really love it.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, you think the formula's all absolutely nice and dandy with a nice neat bow on it, and then suddenly the game has to change. We go from double headers to our first triple header here in the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational, and here at the Red Bull Ring, at the base of the Styrian Mountains in Spielberg, we are getting ourselves ready for what will be a frantic night's worth of racing, where championship points are going to be absolutely ace. Welcome to the coverage here with SimSpeed TV, and as well with the ASRG, the Australian Sim Racing Group. My name's Shakespeare, alongside with me, Zach Caban, for today's action. Zach, the big key of today is Damon Woods. He has now got himself over 200 points. He's got luxury buffer zone to go and play with, but this is a circuit that eats alive drivers who think they can take it easy.
Exactly, Jake. Good evening to you. Good evening, everybody. Critical point of the season, isn't it? Because by the end of this round, we're at halfway. But as you say, we reinvent the wheel tonight. You will explain the format for our audience at home in just a few moments, mate. You cannot afford to be complacent. And we're going to see everybody put to the test tonight, not just because of the change of format, but because of the potential interference provided by the skies above. Again, more on that in just a few moments' time. But more to focus on what you were saying about Damon Woods. He won't be wanting to rest on his laurels. He'll be looking to extend the advantage, because if he can wrap it up earlier than the final round in Adelaide, sure, that's not necessarily great from a sales pitch for us, but it's terrific for him because he can go to the streets of Adelaide with the weight off the shoulders. What happened last time out, mate? Technical issues. We've seen plenty of them throughout the course of this season, through the spanner in the works for the perennial second place runner in this series, Zach Ratway-White. And what that's done, and you'll see the championship points pop up on your screen in just a few moments' time, folks. There they are. It's brought him back to the pack. He's dropped down to fourth position. The beneficiary of that, Rick Kuznetsov and Zach Kerr, Marino Morella now nipping at Ratway-White's heels. So just when you thought it was going to be the top two fighting amongst themselves, first and second wrapping it up, thanks for coming, and everybody else fighting for that last spot on the podium at the end of the season, technology had other ideas, and we've now got a genuine fight on our hands for the final two spots on the podium. I'm still willing to say and gamble and wager that Damon Woods has one hand on the title, but as you say, it doesn't take too much to change the course of the narrative, and this could well be the place where that happens.
Very much so. 204 points, the margin at the top between the Falcon Sim Racing 56 and the number 83 from Vermilion Esports there, Woods and Kuznetsov. But keep an eye on those a little bit further down who have been quietly putting the seasons together. Reese Wakefield had a wonderful climb up after last round. He's now up into the top 10. And you got the likes of Dylan Shepherd up there, 3 OPR X Gamma Flare cars and 3 Eclipse Sim Sport cars. They look to be the ones who are starting to make the team gains out there. And as well, you can't forget the up and down nature of Tom Bewley's sim racing so far this season, Zach. He's certainly been one to keep a close eye on.
Indeed he is. Looking forward to catching up with him. There's a little spoiler alert for you too, ladies and gentlemen, when we get to our pre-race grid walk in a few moments' time. But don't forget, we've got qualifying to get to first in about 9 minutes' time. Yeah, Bewley's one of those guys. Dylan Shepherd's another. They've been seesawing throughout the course of this season. We know they've got the pace to run at the front to be competitive. They just haven't had the full opportunity to showcase that. I mean, Marino Morella has been one of those consistent performers throughout the course of the season as well, without too much in the way of flair. There's the calendar for you, ladies and gentlemen. We mentioned that this is the round that gets us to halfway. It's our first of 2 sprints, super sprints for the season. Our shortest race of the calendar comes up in 2 weeks' time at Mount Panorama, but also at the same time, our longest as well. The sprint a lot shorter and the feature a lot longer than on average at the other rounds of the series. Interesting as well, Jake, 6 from 6 stops in Europe. And then only 1 stop in Europe for the balance of the season. We'll be going back to the drawing board, going back to the classroom, doing some homework between this week and, of course, Mount Panorama to give you guys some sort of a report card with a view to how the season's fared so far. But, yes, I must say, mate, the Styrian Hills, you'll have a look at the track for us in just a moment. One of the greats. The hills are usually alive with the sound of music. Tonight they're alive with the sound of Porsche race cars, and I'm all for it. One of the great race tracks, and it should produce some great racing. It was one of those ones that I immediately circled on the calendar as one to look forward to, along with Spa and Le Mans. They didn't disappoint, and I don't expect Austria to either.
Yeah, absolutely. That 60, 60, 60 is there before Mount Panorama Week, Mountain Week, here with the ASRG group, of course, leading up to that all-important Bathurst 1000 on the Sunday. So that will be your benchmark to begin your Mount Panorama action. But before that, what about this Red Bull Ring circuit? It's a very quick track, and it's opened in 1969. It did close in the mid-2000s before being reopened in 2011, allowing for that opportunity for the Red Bull Ring to flourish in its current guise. You are spending 71.75% of the lap at full throttle, and really it's about the big overtaking corners. Turn 4 at Route down the hill is going to be decisive if you get a good run over to turn 9 at Jochen Rindt. And critically, Zach, the brand newly named Intervetten turn.
Yes, exactly. And that is one of the trip-up points of the lap around here. We were talking before we got on air about potentially turn 4 being a point for action this evening, but turn 3 as well. Of course, you'll notice that a fair bit of recalibration has gone on around this circuit in recent times. Of course, there's been a little bit of bitumen added to the run down towards turn 2, but that's strictly for MotoGP. Turn 3, under brakes, one of the slowest points on the circuit, but it can go a long way to setting yourself up for a run down to turn 4. That's one of the points I wanted to focus on, Jake, and I think you'll agree with me. This circuit lends itself to good overtaking opportunities, but setting them up is one thing, executing them is quite another, and consolidating them is the third, by which I mean expect a lot of side-by-side running tonight, because this is a racetrack that lends itself to a nice flow of crisscross and switchback overtaking opportunities. You won't always get it done at one corner. You might have to work for 2 or 3 to execute the move and consolidate the position.
Right, and let's just demonstrate some brand new tech that we've got for today's action. So your overtaking zones today are going to be turn 1, turn 3, turn 4, and turn number 9 out there. If you can't get it done here at 4, let's put an X there, say turn 4. Turn 6 is still an option out there, and unfortunately, it's not worked for us here at the moment, which is a real shame. Give us a second, as we'll just wait to see that to go through. So give us just a moment.
There it is.
Look at that. There you go. Turn 1, turn 3, turn 4. If you can't get it at turn 4, you've got turn 6. and then turn 9 is available. And look at that. That is your overtake. I can't spell very well. Right, but we got overtaking opportunities. That's all there. That's all available, and we're going to see a lot of that over the course of racing action here today. But Zach, let's take a look at what we've got. So it's 20 minutes of qualifying that will be coming up, but it's 3 consecutive 14-lap races, which starts with qualifying order, reverse top 10, and then race to result grid.
So for those of you that are tuning in at home that have followed along the course of the season so far, you'll know that race 1 and 2 follows the same format. But interesting to see that from race 2 to race 3, we don't mix it up again. We go straight down the line with a progressive grid. Again, let's talk about rows 1, 2, 4 and 5 here, mate, because when you talk about row 3, the invert doesn't affect them one way or another. They're just swapping around inside and outside. Whoever finishes 6th will start 5th, etc. But for the guys that go from 7, 8, 9, 10 to 1, 2, 3, 4, big opportunity for them to make their way forward and convert the opportunity presented to them by the invert into a solid race result to set them up for race 3. But for the guys that are first, second, third, fourth that become 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th on the grid, they're going to have to take full advantage of those overtaking areas that you just mentioned with a view to setting themselves up to do as little work as possible in that regard when we get to race 3. And it's straight down the line, folks. It is the same distance for all 3 races, 60.56 kilometres, so a little over 181.5 tonight. As you again have a look at some of the new infrastructure, the new toys we've got to play with here, ladies and gentlemen. You will have heard a lot about 3D curbing in recent times. Jake's going to explain all about that.
Absolutely. So 3D curbs are a brand new feature to iRacing. It's not just a case you've got a flat curb and you can drive over it, because these are sawtooth curbs here. You can see there's a sawtooth in here, there's a sawtooth in here, there's a sawtooth. And when a car runs across this way here, across the sawtooth, the issue they have is they're going up, down, up, down. It's an inconsistent contact patch that you have with the ground. So basically, your issue is if you go too far over, if you're not out here in this section, but you're more rather out over here, for example, well, you can expect to see the car veering off to the left or veering off to the right. And basically, you get your stickman figure here and you go, help. If you end up out there, you can see help. Screaming there, an exclamation mark. You don't want to be in a position where you're going to be screaming help by being too far out over the curb. Zach, I think it's very clear what today's aim of the game is going to be. Paint between the lines.
100%. There was a lot of conjecture with regards to that. There was a lot of discussion and debate in our Discord servers earlier in the day with a view to where are the racing lines, where are the parameters, what's going to be viewed by race control when it comes to adjudication with regards to racing incidents between the racing lines. As you have a look at the last couple of laps here of practice, ladies and gentlemen, we are on a drying circuit at the moment. Still not entirely dry, but at a point where much of the field are out there having a run on the dryers just to see what they're working with. I don't think it'll be a case of they'll be screaming help when they get spewed out by that ribble strip, Jake, more something else.
I was there.
I could think of other 4-letter words that aren't suitable for broadcast, quite frankly. But the interesting thing is I can't help but think that they will actually be helpless. And I don't think it's necessarily going to be an issue when we're single file, because they are so far left of the racing line, if they're out in the weeds there, that it's not funny. It'll be more a case in those early stages when they're still trying to file and fan out into single file formation and sort themselves out when they are 2x2. So it'll be something we look for in the early laps. Maybe in race 3 if they've got to adjust their racing line to suit the expected weather conditions, maybe take the go-kart approach, the Lee Holdsworth approach. You only have to go back to the archives to Oran Park in 2007 to know what I'm talking about there. 33 seconds left in practice. And Tom Bewley, you mentioned him earlier. Nice to see a new name at the top of the timesheets in practice, but the championship leader is hovering there just nicely in fourth. Oh, maybe it's not the outside curb you got to worry about. Maybe it's the inside one as well, Jake.
Yeah, because you got puddles there on the inside and it is not grippy out there. It is a case of very slippery when you get out there onto the paint. So you've got to be very, very switched on to what the car is going to do. Hugo Allen has just moved up in the Auto Moves 777 to the fastest time out there. Auto Moves making a lot of progress out there in terms of their ability, and that will be the fastest time in practice as practice results come through. So it's going to be topsy-turvy because we're on a drying track late, so whoever got the last of the conditions was there. So Hugo Allen, I believe Zach Rattray-White has just jumped up in the last section to go to second, then, and third would be Tom Bewley then at 3.5 of a second away, which brings us to qualifying, and arguably a qualifying position that we set right now as you see the top 10, where this might just be last car on track is the one who's going to get the biggest advantage here today compared to everybody else. We're still on a lightly wet track, but whoever is out there at the latest time available has the opportunity to go through. Worth noting here, because we switched from practice over to qualifying here, Zach, that dry line is gone.
It is indeed, Jake. Apologies, I was just clearing my throat. 21 degrees the ambient, 19 degrees on track, and partly cloudy conditions with easterly winds at 10 kilometres an hour and 83% humidity. As you can see, dry line gone. We've moved forward in the day as far as the server time settings are concerned as well, ladies and gentlemen. More puddles picking up around the place too, so the rain has potentially returned here. You can see one car, I think that might have actually been Damon Woods putting two wheels in the dirt, and a couple more around. So this is going to be an antsy, hairy sort of qualifying session because you could arrive on scene and see a car in the way, blocking the path through. So, yes, you're going to have to be thinking on your toes. You're going to have your wits about you. You're right. It could well be a case of, we talk about getting clear air and getting lapped down early. That goes out the window here because the ball game has changed. The goalposts have been moved. We're now looking at who can be the last of the late stragglers as Tice Hodge has this moment down at turn 4 on the OG Gear replay. And Damon Woods was also there. I thought I saw him on the left-hand side of the screen. Plenty of puddles to work your way through as well. This is going to be potentially the most intriguing qualifying session of the year, and already a couple of cars bailing out of it and coming back to pit lane. Now, are they dry runners that are coming back for wets? I would suspect so.
Yeah, because there was about a dozen drivers who went out on a wet tyre to get things started. And so I think they've looked around, looked at the conditions and gone, yeah, it's too wet for a dry tyre. Let's start on the wets, because what you're looking for in sim is a very lightly wet track. That is what your indication of a crossover period is. But here we've got a lightly wet track, which means it's just a bit too wet out there for a dry tyre. The more running that they get done over this circuit, the easier it's going to be. Our focus with Reese Wakefield here for the moment, climbing up out then of the Intervetten and over towards Rauch Corner. Turn number 4 out there on track, and as he jumps down on the brakes, those lovely trophies in the back indicating what he's been successful with over the course of his sim racing and real world racing career. Wakefield now looking to drive it on for these two left-hand bends. Turn 6 out there taking a big wide line in trying to avoid the rubber up part of the circuit, and critically, Zach, Gratz Corner, turn 7.
And that's the go-kart line I was mentioning a few moments ago, taking the wide approach through. He tightens it up for the exit through 7 and 8 on the run-up over the crest of 9. And this will be our first look at where the goalposts are, what the benchmarks will be for the early part of this qualifying session, noting that if track conditions improve, we expect the times to tumble accordingly. Back to the main straight comes Reese Wakefield. Let's have a look at the clock and see where he falls in. It'll be a 1 minute 39 or a 1 minute 40, 1 minute 39.779. So he's south of the 40 bracket, which is very nicely done from Reese Wakefield early in this session. 16 minutes to go. Still plenty of times to be laid down. We don't know what the track conditions are going to do. Could be, see, this is the problem. When you go to that last bit of the session there, Jake, you've got to time your run almost to a T, because you don't want to be getting back to the line with, what are we looking at? You don't want to be getting back to the line any lower than 100 seconds on the clock. You want to give yourself a minute 40 to run with, or otherwise you run the risk of your time not counting, because the clock stops at 0 and there is no overflow.
And very critically as well, they have to note they're running times that are roughly about 5 to 6 seconds slower than what they were doing at the end of practice. So track's got a lot of time that it needs to revolve in. Harry Lawrence right now in the 93 on a lap. It's currently Lazarus, Allen, Shepherd, McCartan, and then Ellis, your top 5, as Harry Lawrence makes the drive to the line in the number 93. He crosses 7th on a 39.5, a decent opening effort then for him as he looks to set up. Jared McLeod then on a sighter lap by the looks of things, had a 1 minute 4 second first sector, so looking to get some heat back into those wets.
Could take a little bit of time as well. I'm so pleased to see Corey Lazarus has put down the benchmark here, 1 minute 38.819. He's struggled to get to grips with the new Porsche, the 992.2 by his own admission. It's been a real struggle to wrap his head around it and get to a comfortable point with it. Off to the top of the leaderboard now goes Reece Wakefield on his second lap through, 1 minute 38.639. We've picked up Damon Woods, but he's been slowly but surely performing the way he used to in the 992.1. It's been Lazarus of old in recent times in other servers. Hopefully he can bring that form, that recent form, to the ASRG Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational Series. Corey Lazarus, Reece Wakefield, Stefan McCartan, Damon Woods up at a third, and there's only 0.2 of a second covering the top 3 at the moment. And how nice for Hugo Allen as well. Driver of the day last time out, a flawless performance. He's best of the season. He's now gone to the top of the timesheet, and he was also at the pointy end in practice as well. So maybe he's going to take the momentum from Zandvoort and build something on that for the balance of the season, Jake.
Yeah, he very much could do. Angus Lawford comes to the line, 38.9, improves up then to P8. And we're going to see a lot of movement out there from drivers looking to try and push. But we've got drivers who are maybe a little bit out of position at this moment in time. You look at Sam Muir, for example, here in the 162, looking to set his first attempt out there. Tom Bewley going to 15th place, deposing Zach Rattray-White. Miles Burgess up then into 11th. So what do you have in the back pocket, Mr. Muir, coming over to the line? 21st then, and about 1.3 off the pace. Here is Zach Rattray-White down in 18th, and he's been someone, as far as qualifying has gone, who's had to go and get times late. Obviously trying to swat something away off of the screen. That's not going to be very useful out there if you're being distracted by a fly or a wasp or anything that's there in front. Still 13th, though, despite having a little bit of something in the cockpit, so to speak there, Zach.
Yeah, and the one thing that works in his favour, Jake, is that there's still 12 and a half minutes to go. So he's put a banker down. It is 1.1 off the pace, but we know what he brings to the table, and he's worked his way up the leaderboard at other rounds throughout the course of the season. Hopefully, no more internal distractions, and eyes forward, and he can focus on the job of trying to at least get himself into the top 10. Rick Kuznetsov just makes the task a little bit harder by going up into 6th spot. Rattray-White back down to 14th. Here's Danny Davison trying to get down from 22nd position up the order into the top 20. Get that lap down from what is currently outside the 1 minute 40 bracket. Dean Mackay goes up to 13th. Davison back to 23rd. 1 minute 38.938 that time through. So, yes, he's improved, and he's gone up into 10th place in the process.
Kane Ryder looking for a time out there as Harry Lawrence goes second on a 38.4. He starts motoring. Lazarus now on top. Damon Woods down to 4th. No time set for either Ben Pedersen or Brock Gilchrist at the moment as they are trying to work on out. There are a handful of drivers who are not yet out there, who are waiting for the conditions to improve. And one of them, I believe, is Zach Hanlon, who's waiting on a set of dries, as is Josh Perwian, as is Jack Widders. They are waiting for this to work. Ewan Baker out there on a set of dries, and that's why you don't want to be on a set of dries there, because you're just going to go, whoops, see you later.
And that is a very costly moment, because look where he is. He's speared all the way down to turn 10. That's a long way round to the pit lane once more to try and get yourself back down the lane, potentially on a set of wets, and then you're going to have, well, what, about 6.5 minutes less then to get back around to get yourself a lap down that is somewhat competitive. in the closing stages of this session. We follow Benny Pedersen now up the hill, and he's in the 669 from the Riot Sim Racing squad. Brock Gilchrist also on a hot lap at this point. A couple of the guys that haven't yet put a marker down. Gilchrist will watch come across the line soon after Pedersen. Across we go. Let's see what they can do and move themselves up into the top 30 here. Pedersen across the line, 1 minute 38.94 to 14th, if you don't mind. And Gilchrist has gone to 24th as well. So now 31 cars have put a lap down. And there's a heap of chopping and changing going on all over the place here. Sebastian Vandel slipping and sliding onto the main straight, and he's currently sitting 28th. Lockhart Brownlee, Byron Pearce, Jack Vittis, Lachlan Capel, Ewan Baker, Josh Perwin, and Zach Hanlon all yet to post a time. 31 cars have put a lap down so far. What's important to note is that they've still got 9 minutes and 40 seconds to go, but they've got 8 minutes to work with. They want to have started that time before we get to the 1 minute and 40 to go mark of this session. So they've got 7:50 to work with. And Brendan O'Brien pointing out the obvious to us as well, Jake, in that the guys that originally put the slicks on, they've got one less lap of getting their tyres up to temp. They will get there eventually, but it's just going to take a lot longer, and that's obviously because the wets aren't coming up to temperature all that quickly to begin with. More so because they've obviously given the rest of the competition a head start as Ewan Baker comes undone on what was supposed to be his first flying lap.
Yeah, and again, on slick tyres, he's running into trouble just trying to bring it back. Now, I just want to point something out. You got Damon Woods here. He's there in 5th place. Rick Kuznetsov there in 11th. And actually now is going to go down to 12th place then on that point. And so you're starting to look around and go, well, championship contenders aren't quite exactly where they want to be, Zach. They're not up there at the top. And we have to note this with 8.5 minutes in qualifying. Damon Woods in qualifying is 5 for 5. He is looking around at this. 100% is going to be broken if it continues at this rate. He's got 3.5 tenths to find as Marina Morella crosses.
I thought Zandvoort was going to be the great equaliser in this series, Jake. No, it turns out it's going to be wet weather. if that comes apart. Spinner! Was that Brock Gilchrist, maybe?
That's not Bewley.
Bewley, thank you. I knew it was one or the other, but Tommy Bewley, so that's his second slip and slide of the session as well. Here's Harry Lawrence trying to improve on 3rd. We've got some intel coming through from Brenton O'Brien as well, with the view as to why we haven't seen Lachlan Capel or Josh Perwin out there on the circuit. Carryover penalties, rear of grid penalties for this round of the series. Lawrence wrestling the car through turn 1. Off on a lap we go. I reckon that's an appropriate time for us to get Jake to talk us through the Styrian Hill circuit here at the Red Bull Ring.
Absolutely. Down the hill then off the Niki Lauda corner through Munza at turn 2, which means money. And now the Intervetta turn. Uphill braking zone into turn number 3. And you've got to be right down in the first gear, driving it off of the exit. A dry line is slowly starting to form. So you're going to get this opportunity to use that on the straights here. But you're now going back down the hill on the braking zone again into Rauk. And you have to extend your braking zone in the wet because you don't know how much grip you've got. Fight then for as much turn of control as you've possibly got, and then you're out of Rauk at 4th through this small flick of 5, which is flat out, and into turn 6. Left hand bends. It's right side tyres that take the pounding around this circuit as you try and work forward here because you're trying to get as much grip off the exit. Those big wide curves are there. Massive slide. Harry Lawrence is going to go around. He was too far out wide over the mark, and because he was dipping tyres in the puddles, he goes around for his troubles. More drivers in trouble. Dylan Shepherd on a set of dries.
Yeah, so again, potentially an indication that it's still not yet at the crossover point for Shep, who is sitting 21st at the moment. Here's Benny Pedersen now sitting 18th with that lap earlier that was good enough for 14th, but obviously there's been some improvement from competitors around him. Sam Chapman looking for a decent run in qualifying for once. He's sitting 27th. Here's Damon Woods still in 5th, still trying to find, what is it, about 4 tenths of a second. It's 0.36 the margin first to 4th on Corey Lazarus. No, Damon Woods pulls out of it. Oh dear. The game changes again. 6 minutes to go in qualifying, Jake.
I think he needs a fresh set of tyres. He needs to get him up to speed pretty quickly. You can do that here. Hugo Allen in 4th place. He's going to be driving everything out then of turn 9 and there of Jochen Rindt over to turn 10. You can see he is fighting right on the limit of grip, trying to give himself the what for coming to the line. He does a 38.485. He does improve, but he does not improve his position critically on that lap. So he's got more to do on that. Brock Gilchrist down there in 20th place. He's hoping to be someone who is inside the top 10 and driving up in terms of the order. This could be the big day, not just for the drivers who are looking for points in the top 10, but drivers trying to get into the top 20, Zach, to make sure that they book their ticket for next season.
Yep, absolutely. You don't want to be coming back for the preseason play-in tournament, do you?
Oh, Zach.
If you can help it. Zach Ratway White to the top, if you don't mind. 1 minute 38.150. We know he finds something in the second half of qualifying. The Red Bull Ring, no exception. That benchmark is only 0.008 of a second better than what Corey Lazarus had put in place about 9 or 10 minutes ago. That is a big number from Zach Ratway White. And Corey Lazarus has a black flag next to his name, and I'm not 100% sure as to what that's all on about. Pit exit speeding, we're reliably informed, Jake.
So that means he's going to have to come down, serve it, and then go back again. So he'll lose a lap in terms of his heat getting into the tyres, and that's huge. Angus Lawford currently 8. Seb Varndell trying it on the dries. It's still lightly wet, but it's getting more and more of a dry line. So if you can find yourself tiptoeing on that line, you're going to be okay. But the issue is, here with the Red Bull Ring, Zach, a lot of these corners are commitment corners. You need the speed to generate the downforce off the rear wing.
No. Except for maybe turn 3 and turn 4. They're usually not the high-speed corners of the circuit, but you're right with regards to everywhere else. Ewan Baker in 32nd at the moment, a lot lower than we might have expected him to be. He's 9 seconds off the pace at the moment, so he's had some issues trying to put a lap down so far. Miles Burgess drops up into 13th spot. Tice Hodge to 14th. Kane Ryder back to 15th. We're right on board with Baker now. Can he finish this lap off in a strong way and try and get himself up the order? Also wanted to finish the previous point I didn't include. We mentioned Capel and Perwin, but the same applies to Pearce and Hanlon as well. Byron Pearce, Zach Hanlon, Jake, in the sense that they too will be starting rear of grid for Heat 1. So in their respective cases, the only way is up tonight. Baker struggling with it coming back onto the main straight. Let's wait and see. He's still off the pace. It's going to be outside the 40s. Just ahead of him, 1 minute 40.492. He's improved on his own original time, which is in the 47th to 143.3, but he's still 32nd, locked to the bottom of the leaderboard for the moment.
Yeah, so he's going to be very much looking around at that, saying, right, here's how it's going to go. Harry Lawrence then is in P5, and I think he's realising and understanding here that he's got a huge chance today to start walking up the order and saying, look, this is what I'm about. And he's 25th in the championship and remains in 5th on that effort. Lazarus and Seth Brown looking at laps at the moment with 2:23 left. These drivers coming to the line now know they've got 1 lap left.
That's exactly right. They will not get 2. That threshold is about 30 seconds away from coming and going. So if you're on a hot lap already and you're in the final sector, there's a strong chance that you'll get to start another following lap. But beyond that, it's toast, it's curtains. There's Zach Ratway White. Is he content with that time? 1 minute 38.150. Or is he looking to go again? He's looking to go again, potentially. Round the second to last corner. No, he's going to... Oh, he's leaving it too fine here, I think. I think he's left his run too late. The clock expires in 100 seconds' time. He's not going to get back to the control line in time to start that final lap. Here's Scott Rankin. This is his last run.
He needs something here, does Scott, because he's way down on the order in the 139s. He crosses the stripe and gets a 139.4 down on the board, and that's good enough to jump a couple places. He jumps Simon Mazzomo then, who now has to come down into pits because he can't improve on his effort. You've got Ben Pedersen here in 19th place. He's looking for a time here to get himself cross and sorted, and he'll get himself over on a 140.3. No good. Shep, how good's the lap on the dries? 142's you're 3 seconds out on a dry tyre. So this is not working for those on a dry. Lazarus, car spins in front of him. It's Miles Burgess. This will compromise the lap as he has to get well up onto speed and go through. What a shame that is there for Lazarus.
Yeah.
His lap time balked as he comes to the line by the spun Miles Burgess out of the final corner. Damon Woods is behind Seth Brown here. He needs to find some magic late. 1:38, 3:47. He won't get pole for the first time this season. Fourth only for the championship leader, and that is a story here today at the Red Bull Ring. So final drivers now making that progress. Varndell trying to get to the line. Brock Gilchrist, Kuznetsov, 16th at best. He's going to manage the likes of Marino Morella looking to come to the line then and improve then from 25th spot. Is that going to work with 7 seconds to go? Answer to that is it remains a 39.3, so that's not going to do anything. And Zach Kerr at the end there remains in 5th place on that effort. My, oh my, what a qualifying we have had. Zach Rattray White needed that one, and he puts himself on pole. A 1:38.150. Corey Lazarus, 8 thousandths back for Auto Moves. They're in second. Tom Bewley starts this one from third as your championship leader, Damon Woods, is there in fourth. Zach Kerr starts fifth, and for Impact Sims by Racers, Harry Lawrence, they're in sixth position. That is huge. The man who comes in 20th in the championship, Hugo Allen, he's there in seventh with Stefan McCartain in 8th place. Project 36's Angus Lawford is 9th with Reese Wakefield, rounding out your top 10. You've then got Seth Brown and Stuart Ellis. They are both on row 6 of the grid. Row 7 is going to be Miles Burgess and Tice Hodge with Kane Ryder and Rick Kuznetsov. They're going to be on row 8, and Rick is going to need to drive up through the order tonight to go and get the points. He's done that many a time this season. Dean Mackay for OPRX Gamma Flare is 17th. Danny Davidson for Team Max Boost is there in 18th place. Then in your top 20, you've got Jacob O'Reilly and Ben Pedersen there for Riot Sim Racing as Sebastian Varndell follows his Momentum teammate there in 21st. Brock Gilchrist there in 22nd, a dependable set of hands there behind the wheel. Dylan Shepherd and Sam Muir, they house row 12 in 23rd and 24th, and 23 cars within 1 second in qualifying here today, which then leads over the page to Marina Morella and Jared McLeod, as Sam Chapman and Pat Klein will be on row 14. Scott Rankin and Simon Mazzomo there, the dependable duo then in 29th and 30th places. Then will be one of the last cars set a time as Jordan Malcolm and Ewan Baker would roll the dice on the dry tyre, which would not work out for them. The drivers who did not set a time or were not eligible to set a time, Lachlan Capel, Zach Hanlin, you can turn around and see Jack Widders and Lockhart Brownlee in those positions, as well as Josh Perwian and Byron Pierce, who will start with the safety cars and the race directors. There, nice to know that Simon Black's got more iRating than Mike Korolev out there. So that's going to be very much something of note to go. It brings us over to our grid walk here, presented to you by the Australian Sim Racing Group, where Zach, you've got yourself down on the starting grid, having a little look around who you need to talk to.
Indeed. Thank you, Jake. Hello once more, everybody. The Red Bull Ring ready to rock and roll. We're going to have a chat with the third place, Tom Bewley, and I say third place on the grid, and it was a number that he needed to pull out in that qualifying session. He's got Corey Lazarus and Zach Rattray White ahead of him. I'm not sure if I've got the ability to drag him into the booth, but I don't, so I need someone to drag him in for me, please, so that we can have a chat with him. Then we'll hear from Stephen McCartan as well, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go with Tommy Bewley first. Tom, it's Zach in the booth, mate. Good evening to you. Here we go again, mate. What a number for you in qualifying. A great opportunity for you to showcase the pace and potential you truly bring to the table. It's been a challenging start of the season, and now you've found yourself on the outside of the second row here at the Red Bull Ring, mate. Talk us through the lap, how hairy and how hectic that session was.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty cool qualifying session, being the first kind of wet one of the year. But no, it was a pretty cool qualifying, slippery curbs. So it was really hard to get a nice lap in at the start. But yeah, track fell away towards the end. But Zach and a few of the other fast guys got a lap in also. So it's going to be a hard race with Damon right behind me as well. But I'm looking forward to it. I
was going to say, yeah, Damon Wood sitting there right beside you. It's interesting to see him only fourth. It's the first time this season where he hasn't had the target on his back. Zach Ratway-White just ahead of him. Let's talk about your season more broadly, though, mate. Ninth on the points table at the moment. You're a fair way back from Damon at the moment. What are you got to do to turn it around and get yourself up the order a little bit? Where are the goalposts at this particular time? What's a pass mark now that you know that you're on the cusp of the start of the second half of the season? We'll be at halfway at the end of this round. You're sitting there boxed in ninth.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shame I missed one of the rounds due to real life racing, so lost a fair few points there, and I might miss a few more rounds coming up. But no, really happy to be top 10 in the championship. I'm not sure I'll be able to catch up to Damon, that's for sure, but really happy to be in the top 10.
And a Rip Tear Rush bus sort of night, mate. I mean, third now, wherever you finish, it's an invert top 10 for race 2, then progressive grid for race 3. Everyone's in the same boat, but how do you feel about the super sprint format for the first time this year?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love sprint racing. That's what I do in real life. So it's a cool opportunity to score some good points and just race these front fast guys.
And whilst we've got you, give us a little bit of an update as to how things sit in the real world halfway through 2026, mate.
Yeah, it's been actually a slow start to the year, only having 2 rounds so far out of the 7, but moved up the championship order in Career Cup Australia quite a bit after the last round. Round 1 didn't go so great for me, but yeah, round 2 ended up 5th for the weekend, which as a rookie I was really happy with. So looking forward to heading to a few more tracks I know this year, and then the street circuits at the end of the year.
Some parallels there between real world and sim world, actually, as you say. Hopefully this is the turnaround point of your season, mate. Hopefully we'll see you start to feature more prominently towards the pointy end of the field. We've got 4.5 minutes, so I'm going to let you go. Thanks for stopping by. Good luck. Go well. We'll hopefully be having a chat to you at the end of the 3 races tonight.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thank you.
And from Tommy Bewley, we'll make our way down to 8th position on the grid. We'll find Stefan McCartan. Stefan, good evening to you. Some good pace there in practice, but some of the heavyweights of the series fought their way to the front in qualifying. Talk us through that session from your standpoint and what you made of the conditions and whether or not you're happy with 8th on the grid, mate.
Well, first of all, happy as with 8th, considering previous qualifying rounds. Honestly, would have preferred it to be more wet. I'm loving the wet in this car. I'm not so good in it in the dry, so mixed conditions here at the start. So we'll just see what happens.
And it's interesting too, isn't it? Because it's going to be 6 of one, half dozen of the other, in the sense that some drivers like yourself are absolutely going to be begging and pleading for the rain, and you're going to absolutely lap that up, and others not. But we always say the weather is the great equaliser. I'm probably glad that we've waited until round 6 to have it play a part in a championship round. It's expected to play a part in race 3. How do you navigate your way through potentially drier conditions in race 1 and 2 prior to race 3?
Yeah, I think the goal for this one's just try and stay within the reverse grid for the race 2. And then, just hope that I can sort of stay in that top 10 the whole night up until the last race. And if it rains as the forecast is, just, go forward from there and see what happens.
Talk us through the season so far. As you say, it's been a bit hit miss. There's been a couple of challenges along the way, but still, you're in the inaugural season of the Porsche Pro Invitational, amongst the best of the best in Porsche racing in this country. Have you enjoyed the challenge?
Yeah, it's good. It's good fun. This car is definitely a challenge. It's definitely a bit different to the GDP and cars that I'm used to driving. Season started quite well at Hockenheim, getting top 15 results, and it kind of just went south from there up until this one. Caught up in a few incidents each round. It just cost me some points, so we'll try and make that up tonight and finish strong for the last half of the season.
We've obviously got 3 races tonight. So how do you go about racecraft, strategy, planning and preparation for that, knowing that most of the other rounds are only 2 rounds? This is our first crack at 3 races in the night, I should say.
Yeah, I think for this first one, just given the mixed conditions, I'm just going to stay off the curbs and just try and drive it straight and hope some other people explore the curbs and it's not the right line with the water and gain a few positions. And then just same again, hold my line, go forward, see what I can do. If I can stay in the top 10 all night in all 3 races, I'll be wrapped.
I like that plan of attack. Benefit from anyone that takes to the grass, the gravel, and the curbs. Where are the goalposts from here for you? What's a pass mark? What's a fail mark before I let you go?
I think top 10 each round's kind of pass mark. Each race, is pass mark. If I fall out of that, then I'll have a bit of work to do and I'll go back to the drawing board.
And hopefully you can move your way up that leaderboard in this championship fight, mate. As you say, it's been a bit of a challenging start to the season. You're only down there in 31st at the moment, but this is a good way to go about improving on that tonight by starting inside the top 10. We've got a minute before lights out, mate. Thank you very much for stopping by and giving us your time. We appreciate it. Go well.
Cheers, guys.
And Jake, it's interesting too, because as I throw back to you, we're now in a rhythm in this series. The first 3 rounds so heavily spaced out. I think we had 3 weeks and 5 weeks and 4 weeks between the rounds. Now they're starting to come pretty rip, tear, rush, bust, back to back to back, week on, week off. So it's going to keep everybody on their toes, and it's going to hopefully help those that build some momentum continue to maintain it, rather than obviously having to go back to the drawing board after 6 weeks away.
It's a momentum generator here today, and that we see. Everybody is on dry tyres, with the exception of Simon Mazzomo, who is on a set of wets. So it is everybody except Simon. So either when you're the one against the pack, you're either doing something incredibly clever or incredibly foolish. We'll see which one comes up through 14 laps worth of racing action. But critically for Zach Rattray-White, this is a pole time that has set him on the straight and narrow to get him what he needs. Corey Lazarus is desperate for some good times then in these races. He needs as many points as he can get his hands on, because he knows how critical it's going to be. Engine notes rising then here from the Red Bull Ring. Race 1 of 3 tonight. We are underway, and some very slow starts then off of the front then. Tom Bewley bogs down, so it's Damon Woods up to third, weaving about everywhere on the brakes to Nicky Lauda. Couple 2 wides, couple 3 wides. They try and tiptoe their way through, and there's a spinner in the back. It's one of the OPR cars that's gone around there and has just about run away with it. Dean Mackay was the one who found himself then in a bit of trouble. They've already formed packs on the run to the Intervetten.
And now the first big braking marker of the night, ladies and gentlemen. 3 wide in parts, trying to sort themselves out 2 by 2 further back. Oh, there's the first spin up, and it'll be on in just a moment. Oh, good evasive action taken by many cars going to the left of the racing lines, but then trouble ensues on the exit on the run down to turn 4. There it is, carnage.
That's horrible there. Danny Davison spearing back across the circuit there in the middle of the 3 wide, trying to hit the brakes and just couldn't get it slowed up. It is a disaster out there, as surely they're going to have to be looking around at what a safety car can bring to the table on the opening lap of this race, because that is a huge chunk up. But Rattray-White leads, Damon Woods in second, lots of curb there for Hugo Allen as he sees Harry Lawrence side by side with Zach Kerr up the hill.
Ben Pedersen, Zach Hanlon, Pat Klein, Danny Davison, all with a mechanical meatball flag at the end of that demolition derby job on the exit of turn 3 down to turn 4, and the 75 is still parked with nowhere to go. That's Danny Davison. Potentially we're going to see a safety car deployed. There's Damon Woods going to the lead. Zach Rattray-White up in a second spot. Rattray-White under pressure now from Corey Lazarus on the run down to turn 1. Corey Lazarus slotting in nicely to third. Oh no, he's gone round. Bang! More carnage at the Red Bull Ring.
Safety car deployed, and look at that, a hefty shunt, and the summation of season then for Corey Lazarus, who ends up seeing his parts deposited over the circuit. Stefan McCartane as well here for OPR Gamma Flare. Absolutely wrecked. We're going to have a lot of look back here with the OG Gear replay to see all of it. But through all of that, Damon Woods is your new race leader.
It's like nothing's ever changed. 3 positions gained in the opening lap and a half, and the championship leader, with one hand already on the title, finds his way back to the forefront of proceedings. Zach Rattray-White back into second spot. Hugo Allen third. Harry Lawrence retains 4th, and Zach Kerr there in 5th. 2 Zachs in the top 5. Seth Brown in position 6 and Reece Wakefield 7th. Let's have a look at the OG Gear replay. That was Kane Ryder. He got a little bit of help from the Riot Sim Racing entry to his right-hand side. And then all of a sudden, the track closed up because they were 4 or 5 wide when really 3 wide would have been okay and no more. But Benny Patterson, Danny Davison all caught up in that. Davison unable to move from that position. He requested the tow. That was the cause for the safety car to be called, Jake. And unfortunately, we won't be getting through this one. Green flag from start to finish. The safety car has really got to run for its money throughout the course of season 2026.
It very much has. I'd love to get another look on board with Danny Davidson there on that incident, because that was a major, major shunt, and he was caught up in 2 issues, and I think he was just beaten about from pillar to post with not really much that he could do about it. So ultimately a very tough scenario out there, but we're going to get a look at Marino Morella here in terms of perspective first and foremost by the looks of things. So this is Morella off at the start. Now, just keep your eyes on it here. He gets himself a lovely, lovely launch then as he goes through. So now he'll try and think about, okay, I want to try and get to there. That's close now, so that's going to be no good. So now he's going to have to think, okay, I'm going to be there on the outside trying to go in deep. Watch out for the car on the inside. And look, the smoke has to try and avoid it there. But very well went to the outside of the circuit to go and get that to block. And then, look at him, he's trying to walk down the tightrope here, trying to make the line work. You can see as they go through the bumps, he's then stuck onto the outside trying to make this work. And all these cars on the inside, they're going to want to go like that. And there's the Fury car getting close. So he has to take avoiding action. But as he comes back across the curve here, bang, there's the incident. And suddenly, there's a massive hole there, which allows for avoidance then to go and take place. A little bit of a telestrator look at what happened on the opening lap.
And now the safety car leads the field around and we reset. We catch our breath and we get set to go again. I feel for Corey Lazarus, fair income. Let's have another look. So just watch how quickly any clear passage through. Yep, there it is. Closes. And poor old Danny Davison cannot take a trick here, especially when he's being crashed into from the right and the left. And then he is a pinata from that point forward. And that car looking very much worse for wear, and he'll now be resetting, getting ready for, hopefully, a start from the rear of the grid for race 2. Damon Woods has control of the field, Jake, so we are going to get back underway. You have to feel for Stefan McCartan. We were just talking up his chances here in central commentary in the grid walk, and all of a sudden, he's on the tow rope as well with a mechanical meatball black flag. If he didn't have any, if he had bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. If he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. Back to you. Let's go racing once more.
Damon Woods with control, tried to jump with Zach Rattray-White. He leaves it late, but goes for a big old launch for it. Hugo Allen third, Harry Lawrence in fourth. Already overlapped then on this restart because one of the OPR Gamma Flare cars wants to go and make the pass down into, or up into Nicky Lauda. That is a pass then for Stuart Ellis on Tice Hodge, looking to get that run sorted as they will drop down the hill then towards turn 2, the Munster corner, and over to the Intervetten turn number 3. They're getting all of this launch sorted. It's a lovely restart for 5th and 4th. There's a little sniff of overtakes here, but that's the key. You're sniffing about looking for moves.
Interesting to note, the only driver in the field that started on wets is Simon Mesamo. He's sitting 24th at the moment and slowly getting gobbled up. He restarted 23rd. We ride on board side by side. Angus Lawford past Miles Burgess, but Burgess will look to fight back on the inside as they make their way down. That's good. Burgess to the inside. Lawford back to 9th. 3 wide on the exit. Hold your breath. That's 10th, 11th and 12th. Stuart Ellis, Tice Hodge, Tommy Bewley trying to fight his way back up the order after getting caught up on the opening lap. Bewley stuck in 12th at the moment. Ellis to the inside. Hodge goes to 10th.
Well, Tom Bewley having to be aggressive after all those places lost, so he's definitely trying to get back, and he nibbles at the side. OG gear replay then here on this restart into turn number 1, up over the anti-cut curve. This would have been the Lazarus crash, bang, and nowhere to go on that hit there. Where can you avoid the incident? And speaking of trying to avoid incidents then, Tom Bewley missing the front bumper. He's in the water. He's aquaplaned. He's in the barriers.
Tommy Bewley, bad luck yet again. He's going to push on, but how damaged is that race car? He's got company down there with the former Sam Chapman. Damon Woods goes fast start of the race, 1 minute 32.599. It's all going off of the Red Bull Ring in Austria on a slippery, dicey racetrack. It's 95% dry, but the 5%'s making for real good fun for those of us in central commentary and a real headache for everybody out on the racetrack. Side by side, the OPR entries up towards Nicky Lauda. Oh, my goodness me. So Stuart Ellis there in 8th position at the moment. Has been passed by Miles Burgess. Burgess up into 8th. They go through turn 3. They run down towards turn 4. And remember, Jake, how important the battle for 10th is to keep an eye on here throughout the course of the 14 laps. It's lap 5 of 14. We've got 10 to go, and 10th is the invert pole for race 2.
And that's why you don't go out on the sawtooth curves and then getting mown over. There is Sam Chapman as well, both in the same place at the same time, finding all of that trouble. Ellis slow off the exit. Tice Hodge trying to find a run, isn't there? Lawford is choked up, and so too the mid-pack, finding itself a little bit choked up here with Sam Muir trying to find some ways through. Now for the lead, Zach Rattray-White coming back down the inside then at Damon Woods, and he says, yeah, I'm going to be back to the front here, lap 5, almost pushing through the corners there. Angus Lawford in your left, there's Damon Woods. In your left, there's Zach Rattray-White. In your right, and now here comes the chance to make that move. They're pushing, look at that interior there coming off of Damon Woods. Going into the opening corner, he's pushing every way to get through.
And Rattray-White now with the fastest lap of the race as well. Wakefield in trouble and off the road and dropping. Stuart Ellis actually. Stuart Ellis as well. Stuart Ellis has dropped off the road. And here comes Hugo Allen up the outside of Damon Woods as well. That's for second. Woods will fight back on the inside. Remember, Damon's trying to keep he's lost the unbeaten runner. Poles, there's contact there. They're wheel banging side by side down to turn 4. And again, and still, Hugo Allen, no holds barred with Damon Woods, who's trying to retain his unbeaten run in the opening race of the night.
Well, you turn around and look at Hugo Allen. He doesn't care. He's the championship leader. He's going to give everything. Safety car, those deployed. It's going to ruin the battle, though. Safety car is deployed, and it's not a shock after what happened for Stuart Ellis. Caught up with his own teammate, then going for an oopsie-daisy. And so you're just turning around main straight. We'll take a look at this here. So they're side-by-side beating and bumping panels here. Wakefield is out there in the water, and look at this on the rejoin here. Whoops! And where does Stuart Ellis go in all of that? It's a nasty, nasty crash, and Ellis has to just crawl to a stop on the side of the road, and obviously it's too dangerous at a high braking zone like turn 1 for him to be sat there with the car sat down with broken rear suspension there. So that is his day written off in race 1.
Indeed it is. And how many times have we mentioned it throughout the course of the season? If race 1 goes wrong for you, you've then got to play catch-up race 2. But these guys get 2 bites at the cherry to do that tonight, but we're already seeing how difficult it is when you get caught in traffic. It's so easily done that you end up like that, getting caught up in other people's incidents. My goodness gracious me. And that won't make for a pleasant debrief or post-mortem in the IPR stable at the end of this round of racing. This is only race 1 of 3, ladies and gentlemen. We've still got another 7 laps to go after the one we're on now. And Zach Rattray-White will now get his opportunity to lead the field to green. Zach Rattray-White, Damon Woods, Hugo Allen, top 3. Looking beyond that for some positional gains and losses. 11 positions gained so far by Dylan Shepherd in 12 places. Impressive. 10 for Marino Morella. 16 for Jack Vittis and 13 for Lachlan Capel. Now, remembering they were starting from the rear of the grid, if memory serves. A very sorry story beyond that, though, as we know, Jake, with the amount of drivers already in trouble on pit road or with the mechanical meatball flag displayed next to their name.
Yeah, they're going to have a long day at the office. So Danny Davison, Pat Klein, Ben Pedersen, Corey Lazarus, Zach Hanlon. You can add Stuart Ellis now to the list of names who are going to be in trouble. Jack Widders. Well, if there was a day to profiteer off carnage, he's gone in 7 laps here from 35th to 19th out there overall. And this could be one where everyone's going to be out there and aggressive. The circuit conditions err to the side of caution, but no one's taking it because they can't.
That's exactly right. 23 degrees the ambient. Still, now the track temperature is warmer than the ambient. So that's usually the crossover point between dry and wet weather track conditions, as you can see there. And the track now showing mostly dry, which is good to see. And we are getting ready to go back to green. So Zach Rattray-White in control of this field. Damon Woods right there nipping at his heels. And these two have had some cracking scraps so far this season. Jake, I dare say we're about to add another page to the book of the battle, of the rivalry between the two mates.
Keep an eye on Zach Kerr, who is up 1 into 4th place. He is right up there in the championship. He's 3rd in the championship. coming into today. He is someone who is getting big points for the way he's battling Kuznetsov, by the way, +6. He's already up into 10th, and he'll be very happy with that. Zach Rattray White bottles them up and says, let's get going here on this restart. It is a who's who towards the rear of defensive driving as they walk over. Look at it, over the white lines, trying to defend it as they go to Nicky Lauda here. Top 6 all get through okay, but there's 2s and 3s as they all look to try and profiteer off everyone else's malaise. They all get through okay, with the likes of Mackay, Muir, and Kane Ryder then all 3 wide.
Hold your breath again, folks. 3 wide. It's ended in tears on a couple of occasions already tonight. Let's hope this isn't another example of that. Sam Muir to the outside. Is he about to get it shot? No, the trouble is behind him. The 2 OPR stable entries again, pointing the wrong way. Chapman right around the outside, the big beneficiary in all of that. And here's Josh Purwin resuming. Dean Mackay drops down to 29th position, and they all make their way back in the right direction once more. Kane Ryder also located in all of that down to 28th. But thankfully, everybody's driven away from the scene of the crime this time, Jake. We should be good to stay green for the moment.
We are at the moment, and I think everyone's going to be turning around and pointing fingers down in the paddock, and race control might have a very long day at the office to deal with. So Kane Ryder driving himself back, and cars struggling out there, like Scott Rankin having troubles trying to get up to speed on the outside of 6 into Graz at turn 7. Varndell getting black flagged then for an unsafe rejoin.
That's from
Damon, my goodness me, he almost lost it.
That is like, and off the road goes Hugo Allen. So he's going to lose out here. Straight up the inside will go Zach Kerr up in a 3rd. And look at this, it's Argy Bargy further back. Seth Brown and Tice Hodge side by side. And they hug the inside of the circuit before realising that's not going to do anything but compromise us when we get to turn 1. We need to widen the line for the approach to the corner. Varndell with that black flag, the latest casualty in a night full of attrition so far.
Very, very tough this has been. Harry Lawrence to the outside looking for big points here. Tice Hodge started 14th on the grid. Whoa. This for a top 5. Almost gets hipped and shouldered there as Harry Lawrence then looks to fall back to 7th. Tice Hodge there in 6th trying to defend the spot. There's battling further in front of Hugo Allen. He's also going to the outside trying to get a move. Lawrence is better on the brakes but trying to hold it around that outside. Hodge has got himself the corner and he gets there. Now watch the inside because hello, my name here is Miles Burgess. I want to go and get through, but you're not going to get it there with Harry Lawrence just sticking his nose back the inside of 6.
And I was waiting to see if Burgess would hang tough around the outside. Lawrence didn't give him the opportunity, basically closed the door on the exit and said, you can tuck in behind and follow once more. Lachlan Capel on the charge back through the field. 16th at the moment, having a look at Marino Morella and Sam Muir as well. So in behind Muir is Jack Vittis. They've got Morello in their sights, but Capel's got his hands full with Muir and Vittis at the moment, straight down the inside of Muir. Muir drops back to 17th. Invert pole at the moment being held by Rick Kuznetsov. He's had 1 or 2 of them already this year.
Yeah, and that's going to change because Harry Lawrence has dropped it off the final corner, so they're going to now be in trouble. Lachlan Capel now looking to pick up as well, so they're seeing big changes, big movements here as they come off the final corner. They've got to be really careful about that as you've got Muir and Capel still going for it. Harry Lawrence now falling like a stone down the order. Jacob O'Reilly starting to nibble at getting himself to 10th and pole, and he started 19th.
And that's the thing. It's not a foregone conclusion if qualifying doesn't go your own way. As long as you can take advantage of what's going on around you and also execute some good racecraft, you can absolutely turn your evening around. He's managed to do just that so far as Jacob O'Reilly. 1 more spot and he'll be staring down an invert pole. Brock Gilchrist also trying to fight his way back into the top 10. We ride on board with him. O'Reilly the next target. Harry Lawrence, of course, was in the top 5 a minute ago. Now struggling to hold his spot in the top 10.
Very nearly Jacob O'Reilly wiping out the rear of Harry Lawrence, and ultimately Dylan Shepherd isn't going to take no for an answer. He lunges the inside of Brock Gilchrist and says, you're slow, I'm going to get quick. But now they're going to go along the main run here towards turn 9 of Jochen Rindt, and on the brakes on the inside, it's welcome back for Brock Gilchrist on Dylan Shepherd. The two trading places effectively as they work through the final corner and on to 4 laps to go. Here around this circuit, Tice Hodge now starting to think about moves up then, because Miles Burgess moves through up into 6th place. He's really on the charge. Look at him all over the anti-cut curb though, and that gives the chance back to Tice Hodge.
So, the battle now, Zach Kerr and Hugo Allen. This is for 3rd. Kerr has lapsed onto the back of Allen. Now we'll try and get the crisscross switch back out of 3. Set the run up for 4. The run down that long side straight here in the Styrian Hills. You can see that Allen's not having a bar of the presence of Kerr at the moment. Says, if you want to go by me, you can go the long way round. And Allen consolidates 3rd for the moment. Back to Burgess.
Oh, it's trouble. They're leaning on each other in the brakes. Brock Gilchrist there with Jacob O'Reilly. O'Reilly gets dispatched now. That 11th place. O'Reilly out in the water, though, sees Marino Morella going by him. So that is 3 places lost, and he's trying to get one of them back. Nibbling at the heel there once, twice, 3 times. But you may not have my pocket food there, says Marino. Jacob O'Reilly now to the clutches of Jack Widders, who has a 5-second time penalty.
Oh, well, that's rather unfortunate for him. That'll be as a result of some incidents earlier on in the piece, and of course will be applied to the race results after the fact, ladies and gentlemen. We know how that works in the iRacing universe. Just ahead of him, Jacob O'Reilly, again getting it very close to the water and the AstroTurf. Vettis with the 5-second penalty will drop down the order in a fair chunk of spots too, because we've seen the field bunched up twice by safety car intervention tonight. 3 laps to go. He's 14th right now. The best he can hope for at this point, I'm just having a look down the order. He's, 10 seconds off the leader. The best he could probably hope for at the moment is to slot in behind Sam Chapman in 19th, if things were to stay as they are.
Well, he's going to have to be very careful here as the launch up the inside is Sam Muir. We've got a little bit of an understanding of, safety car, that car off on the right-hand side. There, that's going to be no good, and that looks like lap traffic, Ben Pedersen. So look at this on the... Oh, well, you can see exactly where the dent has now left. That is a nasty, nasty piece of accident there that has gone through, leaving your mark in one way, shape or another. Lachlan Capel then in that 16th spot, looking for a way into the top 15. And just because you've had a great race 1, it gives you the platform here, Zach, to go and have a great race 2. Look at the lead all of a sudden, though. Damon Woods has clawed right back up, 6/10 in 2 laps.
Yep, so this is not over by a long shot. They're going to come back to the line, 2 to go. And it's going to be the 2 dominant forces in this championship duking it out for race honours once more, ladies and gentlemen. Hugo Allen, not a comfortable 3rd just yet. He's still got Zach Kerr for company there, so it's not a certainty that he's going to secure a podium finish here. He's going to have to work for that. Seth Brown has dropped off. So too Tice Hodge, Miles Burgess, Rick Kuznetsov, Angus Lawford. Brock Gilchrist has now got himself up into the top 10 for the invert pole as well, ladies and gentlemen. Damon Woods all over the back of Zach Ratway White like a cheap suit as we may go up to turn 3 once more. The slowest point of the circuit now as they head down the back straight to turn 4. The question is, does Damon Woods play it safe like he did earlier in the season and not take any risks, just bag the 2nd and work on with it, or press on from there for 9th for the invert, or does he go full send just to further assert his dominance on this series? I've got a feeling I know which way it's going to go, Jake, but we'll wait and see how it plays out authentically.
Yeah, so places being changed then. Harry Lawrence losing 1 and still stuck on the outside, puts Dylan Shepherd back into perspective, wants to try and get in and involved and say, look, this is what I'm capable of doing here. This is where I can find some opportunity. Working hard then through this section of 6 in towards Gratz corner then of turn number 7, and hoping that this is going to line up the way that it's required. And so at the moment they're going to fall single file, but we're about to get to that white flag lap between your top 2, Zach Rattray White and Damon Woods, and that's where the fireworks are going to have to be, the front of the field. Although Zach Rattray White has pulled a couple tenths of a second on that last lap. So he's got himself now to a gap of nearly half a second. But is Damon Woods just leaving himself the room to claw back up on the slipstream to get the run? 4/10 is the margin, closing down under now to 3/10 of a second. They'll hit the uphill braking zone of the Intervetten, and now it's about this run to turn 4, the last great place to go and get a move. And if you have set yourself up then with the hopes of making this pass, you are going to have to find the way to do so right now. And the key is going to be for Damon Woods. He jams on the brakes that he's going to have to force Zach Rattray-White into a mistake. And I don't think he's quite found it. He knows he's got 204 in the championship lead, as we still got the likes of one of the OBDM cars going side by side there. That's O'Reilly and Capel. Capel's going to get shoved out wide there. And so Sam Muir is going to pick up the table scraps for that one, out of Graz, over towards turn number 8. And Zach Rattray-White, just hit your marks, because Damon Woods doesn't have a decisive place to make this move on you. Into the right of turn number 9. And, well, this is going to be a big old reprieve from what we saw last time out. Zach Rattray-White is going to come to the line, and he will win here at the Red Bull Ring for race 1.
Brilliant from Rattray-White. What a way to bounce back. Redemption. How sweet it is for him. And that's one way to go about trying to claw back the deficit inherited to the Circuit Park Zandvoort venue in the Netherlands a couple of weeks ago. Brock Gilchrist, importantly, held on for 10th, gets the invert pole.
Ooh,
I just had that feeling as Sebastian Vandel comes across the line. Okay, interesting there in 27th position, and has lost out by 0.009, 9,000ths of a second. He misses out on 26th against Jordan Malcolm by. Damon Woods played that beautifully, exactly the way he played the feature race at Spa. And I did see that. There's some antsy feeling out there, some animosity, some angst at the end of the opening heat. Unsurprising. It's been brewing all season. We'll have a look, hopefully, at a replay of that with thanks to OG Gear in just a few moments. We'll get to the race results in a moment. Here come the boys on their way back to pit lane. Cooling down at the end of that one. It'll be a very quick turnaround ready for race 2, ladies and gentlemen. Damon Woods played that exactly the way that he played the feature at Spa, of course, in the way that he just tucked in and followed Zach Rattray-White home. But really, Jake, any opportunity he had of executing an overtaking manoeuvre, gone by the wayside when they exited turn 3. He was too far back. The run down to turn 4 was probably his best bet. Was too far back. It wasn't worth the risk. And because of the way the results have played out, he still finds a way to extend his championship lead anyway.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a little bit of an issue server-wise, because I think we've skipped all the way to the feature, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Zach Rattray-White, though, is your winner, and wins by about 3.8 of a second. So he gets there over Damon Woods, with Hugo Allen then in 3rd. Zach Kerr and Seth Brown are 4th and 5th, with Tice Hodge in 6th place. Miles Burgess then in the 7th place, ahead of Rick Kuznetsov, Angus Lawford and Brock Gilchrist, who will take the opportunity then for race number 2. It will then be a turnaround here, 11th on to 20th, where Marina Morella bubbles out and Dylan Shepherd is there in 12th. Harry Lawrence fell back in the restart then to 13th, with Jack Widders with a 5-second time penalty there in 14th. Jacob O'Reilly and Sam Muir 15th and 16th, as Lachlan Capel, Ewan Baker, Sam Chapman and Jared McLeod make up your top 20. You then flick over once again where you got Byron Pierce and Scott Rankin, 21st and 22nd. Dean Mackay and Simon Zomo, 24th, despite starting on a set of wets, is still a good job ahead of Tom Bewley and Jordan McMalcolm. You've got Seb Varndell, Kane Ryder, Stefan McCartane and Josh Perwian then to make up your top 30. And then over the page you go. Corey Lazarus then 4 laps down, and your retirees, look at it, it's a slew of names. Reese Wakefield, Stuart Ellis, Zach Hanlon in there with Ben Pedersen, Danny Davidson, the cause of the first safety car with Pat Clive, and Lockhart Brownlee, all finding troubles then on the early stages there. So it gives you a lot, but let's talk about giving a lot here on the OG Gear replay. Final stages out there, and pushing hard in, and this is where you're going to try and just pick up the run and say, look, I want it. Unfortunately, I've got a little pop-up, so my telestrator's not working. But ultimately, it's going to be a case of you get the drive over to the line, and it was close, but not enough.
Absolutely not enough. I'm interested to know what the argy-bargy was coming down to turn 3. Let's have a look at this.
Look at Jack Widders. So on the left, there's Jack Widders stopped. And so he hits the brakes trying to stop, and then I don't think Varndale spied it.
No. And I'm not sure race control will do anything about that. It'll have to be a racing incident. I mean, they'll look at it, but it's after the checkered flag as well. So whether you view it favourably or not, the fact that there's been an incident on the cooldown lap, but look at the extenuating circumstances that contributed to it. No harm, no foul. Play on. Let's rock and roll. And on that subject, race 2 coming up in just a moment. Dean Mackay gets a 5-second penalty for contact with the 4:13. That is straight hot off the press from race control right now. 4 teams in the top 4. Interesting to note. 7 or 8 of them in the top 10. So very competitive, high stakes from a team standpoint. But yet again, the 2 that have rose to the top of the summit more times than any other so far this season have done so again. Now we get a chance to see how they go about it from positions 9 and 10 on the grid, Jake, noting full well that the feature race length is usually somewhere around about that 110, 120 kilometre marker on the back of, I think it's 70 and 100. So 70 kilometres race 1, 100 kilometres race 2. So it's 60 kilometres race 2 tonight, 40 less kilometres to work with in order to work on that invert top 10. So, I mean, if there was plenty of feeling in race 1, expect it to be ramped up a little bit in race 2 as these guys go about.
To invert. Hang on.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they're going to invert, because I'm looking down there seeing C main invert 10, B main invert 10 feature. I do not see an invert attached to it.
Now let's have a look here. We're looking at this thinking that there might be an issue with the server, boys. So this will be race 2. Maybe we'll see some change, a new server put up for race 3. I'm not sure. There's a lot going on behind the scenes at the moment. And we might have to keep an eye on that. We might have to just sit here and pad and chew the fat for a little bit, boys. How's life? No. 14 laps, the distance right across the board tonight is the point I was trying to make. So 40 kilometres less than our usual race 2 distance. And as a result of that, yes, this is a progressive grid. If we go as per the preset settings for the round, if we go with that, then the elbows are out, obviously, then the gloves are off as these guys try and set themselves up for a progressive grid race 3. But if there is an issue, then maybe we'll have the invert for race 3. I'm not sure exactly what's going to go on here. We'll wait and see. What I do know is that
they're gridded in race order, so obviously this race 3 race is now going ahead, and the invert has not gone on. So I think race control is going to have to red flag this and set up a new server with the results from race 1 with the top 10 invert to be that race 2, and then race 3. I think that's what's going to happen here from race control. They're going to have to red flag this.
Possibly so. So yeah, no, I'm trying to follow along with the conversation at the moment to try and work out what the hell's going on here, ladies and gentlemen. And I think the boys behind the scenes are doing the same as well. This is race 2. Okay, I'm not sure. We're flying blind at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. We would like to try and be able to make sense of it for you at home so that it makes sense for us. But we are flying blind at the moment, and people that can multitask far better than me, I'm going to trust will be able to relay what transpires accordingly. This is a massive leg up for Zach White and Damon Woods, though, if they don't have to carve their way through the field. If they don't have to do any slicing, dicing and weaving, they're set fair. And for the rest of the competition, catch us if you can. Good luck with that, by the way.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a situation where if they find themselves up at the front and they are absolutely charging, which they are going to be very, very pleased. I'm getting the word in that we are going to be shortening down to just 2 races out there, and ultimately there will be no invert that'll be added. So Zach Rattray-White will have the pole. Damon Woods alongside with Hugo Allen and Zach Kerr on row 2. Seth Brown and Tice Hodge then will be going from 5th and 6th, with Miles Burgess and Rick Kuznetsov then over the page in 7th and 8th. Angus Lawford and Brock Gilchrist make the top 10, with Marino Morella then 11th and 12th place, belonging then to Dylan Shepherd. It will be Harry Lawrence going from 13th and Jack Widdus in 14th, with Jacob O'Reilly and Sam Muir. Lachlan Capel will be 17th, with Ewan Baker then in P18. Your top 20 is Sam Chapman and Jared McLeod, with Byron Pearce and Scott Rankin on row 11, Dean Mackay and Simon Mazzomo then on row number 12. You then turn around and see Bewley, Malcolm, Varndale, Ryder, McCartan and Purwian making up your 30. And then you've got Lazarus, Wakefield, Ellis, Pedersen, Hanlon. And then the safety car will be 36th place, with Danny Davidson and Pat Klein and Lockhart Brownlee. They'll be behind them because they actually finished behind the safety car in that race going through. Right, track conditions are going to be important noting. It's lightly wet out there, and it will mean that they are on wet tyres then to get this race restarted. So they are all looking at this going, it's completely different to where we are. And we are in a patch of weather that is coming forward in from the north. So keep that in mind. Engine notes are going to be rising here as we find ourselves in Category 2, green band rain out there on the radar. Let's get ourselves underway then for this second race of tonight. And ultimately, it's a good start by Hugo Allen, immediately pressuring the championship leader, Damon Woods. Here up to Nicky Lauder, turn number 1 on circuit. Rattray-White is unchallenged through the opening corner as they will all tiptoe their way forward and give each other room as they descend down the hill.
There's the rain on your screen as well, folks. So we are dealing with our first wet weather race of the season. Brilliant conversion off the line from Zach Rattray-White. Damon Woods slots into 3rd spot. Seth Brown up on the inside of Tice Hodge. Woods around the outside of Hugo Allen, who did well to save it on the exit of turn 3. Big start, but a clean start, importantly, Jake. For how long? Let's wait and see. Oh, no, there it is. Slowdowns on the exit of turn 3.
And that always causes the panic then as you run a little bit too wide. The likes there of those who haven't got what they wanted. Jack Widdus was one of them. Jacob O'Reilly was another. Down at Ralph, a couple of 2s and 3s. That's 3 wide. Dennis on Bewley. Down the inside of Byron Pearce, and Jared McLeod looks to form himself back up into line. And so they all look to focus up here as they look for the line. Again comes the move. Back at turn 6 then to get it done. Tom Bewley on a charge. Sam Muir basically took his lunch money there. Kuznetsov fighting hard with Harry Lawrence up the order there as you just see it there in the foreground, a shot. They're now going to have the scrap to Jochen Rindt.
On the run up to turn 9, Kuznetsov and Lawrence. Lawrence on the inside, goes through. Position number 10 is his. Brock Gilchrist, importantly, he'll be feeling robbed at the moment, feeling absolutely robbed of an invert pole position. He's sitting there in position number 9, +1 on the opening lap. Angus Lawford up into 8th. Miles Burgess, Tice Hodge, 7th and 6th respectively. A clean opening lap, despite the precipitation, and it is not light rain either, ladies and gentlemen. It's a properly wet racetrack, and we're good for our first wet sprint race of the season. Now here comes Damon Woods under pressure again from Hugo Allen. He didn't have much real estate to work with there on the inside. It opens up for him now. Deep under brakes to turn 3, and Hugo Allen will go up on the inside of Damon Woods, and that will be for position number 2. Watch for the switch back from Woods out of position out of turn 3 and back down the inside. It's a drag race down the back straight, and Woods has got the toe from Rattray-White.
Yep, it's trying to get the crossover, and that's the key. Lean on the side draft, be more aggressive on the brakes down to go and get the place, but Damon Woods has got it covered, and he's got the place back. So he'll say, thank you very much. You gave it a good go, but it's not enough. Kerr in 4th, Hodge 5th, Seth Brown there in 6th. He's having a great run here tonight, and he'll be looking at some big championship points to move up the order. Side by side then as they work into turn 6, it's Lachlan Capel on the outside. Dylan Shepherd making moves down on the inside, and he's going to look for a big lunge, but he's on the grippier rubber, so the outside line is going to work for the drive. That's what we would call the karting line. He gets shoved out to Shep, and suddenly Tom Bewley goes, oh, freebie.
Absolutely, up at a 14th now. Tommy Bewley on the comeback trail after that off-track skirmish in race 1. He's already up 11 spots in 2 laps. What a charge from him. as it rains cats and dogs at the Red Bull Ring. It's quite interesting, isn't it? It's like a sun shower passing through at the moment. You look to the left, there's patches of blue. You look to the right, you can see the sun shining down on the racetrack now. Here's Bewley down the inside of the Logitech G-Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport entry of Lachlan Capel. Bewley to 13th. Lawrence and Gilchrist swap around. All happening at the Red Bull Ring. How good's Wetweather Racing? Zach Ratway White's lead 8/10 of a second on Damon Woods.
Yeah, so he's smiling with the gap. Now here comes the chance then as Angus Lawford will battle Angus Lawford for position out there. Not quite, but it's that difficult. You might as well be battling yourself out there. It's tough. He's got Seth Brown in front, Miles Burgess behind.
Down the back straight. A lot of chatter going on behind the scenes, ladies and gentlemen, trying to work out what the hell happened to race 2. We're going to get some answers for you before too long. Race 3 it is, as race 2 for the moment, as they make their way around. 7 o'clock local circuit time here when this race was scheduled to get underway. That deterioration of weather as they edge closer to sunset. That was a big moment for Gilchrist. And Angus Lawford did well through the corner following Seth Brown, who was slipping and sliding all over the place as well. Gilchrist up into 11th spot. Has lost out to Rick Kuznetsov, is now under real pressure from Tommy Bewley.
I'd love to get a replay of that if we can, because Rick Kuznetsov's lucky he's still got a car the way that Brock Gilchrist was on the brakes. Now you take a look at this. He's just gone straight like that. Nothing he can do, and he soars away at his wheel like this, like that. Not much you can do there. He's had to really fight to go and get that back, and that's really, really tough as far as they go. Seth Brown, though, under pressure here, and look at this on the main straight.
Sorry. I was getting excited, then I was thinking we were going to neutralise this race and spice it up a little bit more. Not the case. Not the case. Miles Burgess on the inside of Harry Lawrence, Rick Kuznetsov, Brock Gilchrist, Lockie Capel, Tommy Bewley's been hip and shouldered back into 13th now as Burgess goes up to 9th, having just lost out to Harry Lawrence, who continues his climb back through the field. That's Jack Vittis at turn 1, pointing the wrong way.
That's never going to be helpful at Nicky Lauda. Now here comes the lunges on the brakes here. Tom Bewley on the outside. Capel a little bit bottled up on the inside. And now look at this here. Bewley's going to now try and crisscross his own teammate for position. He's desperately looking for the way to dive down the hill and say, yes, I'm going to jump up and gain that place, and he'll do so as a car goes off in front of them. That's going to be Seth Brown who will lose the place to Angus Lawford now. So Harry Lawrence is going to have a run here over to turn 6. Here's a look at the Widders incident then into turn 1. He looks to try and dive through, and then look at that. It just concertinas up, and ultimately the chain reaction comes into play, and it is a nightmare as Varndale goes through. Big off for Reese Wakefield.
Massive, but by the looks of it, he's trying to limp it out of there, and also involved was Ewan Baker as well. The front end of that car rather unhappy at the moment. Jack Vittis back into 33rd spot. Jared McLeod, 34th. We haven't seen him all night. We'll have a look at that incident in just a moment. Jared McLeod has a mechanical meatball flag next to his name. He's trying to limp it back to pit lane. Reese Wakefield, Dean Mackay rounding out this field at the moment. Brock Gilchrist now up into 12th spot. Miles Burgess gets by Seth Brown. I love how tightly. Wetweather, the great equaliser. I love how this field, we're now, what are we, 5 laps into the race. We haven't seen too much standing and spreading out at the start of lap 5.
Rick Kuznetsov and Tom Bewley. Bewley is a battering ram at the moment through this field. And Rick Kuznetsov is now going to get swamped here because here comes Capel. Shepherd caught up in the spray. They jam on the brakes into turn 3, the Intervetten right now. And it doesn't matter if you've got Inters or wets on. It's tough as you go through here in this section. But Kuznetsov down 3 and seeing championship points going scattering.
I reckon that was Lockie Capel with 2 wheels in the grass as well. Or Scott Rankin it might have been, actually. His teammate, my apologies. It was a Logitech entry. There's no doubt about that. Capel now having his own moment there at the expense of Rick Kuznetsov going up on his inside. Capel back around the outside. It is all happening here. Rankin definitely had 2 tyres in the grass, did well to gather it up. Ratway White has Damon Wood snipping at his heels. Let's have a look at this moment as they make their way around. Oh, no, wait, hold your breath. Plenty going on. Bang. Ugly.
It's a major, major hit. And the big key is going to be You want to avoid as much contact as you can, but for the moment, it's race Leedsville, where we're going to have to go to as Zach Rattray-White holds himself steady. Bewley loses outplace to Seth Brown, but it's a waiting game for Damon Woods. He couldn't get it done in the dry, but now he puts on his water wings and goes, I think I could have you in the wet.
So, Damon Woods chases Zach Rattray-White. Look at the gap they've put between themselves and the rest of the pack. 2.2 seconds back to Hugo Allen, who's got breathing space on Zach Kerr, who has Tyce Hodge nipping at his heels. But once again, wet or dry, these two find a way to the top step of the summit. And they're duking it out for first and second again. Now, can Rattray-White do the double for the first time this season? Remembering full well that we've still got... This was the moment with Jared McLeod, by the way. This is what resulted in his mechanical meatball flag. Bang. That'll do it every day of the week. From all the oncoming traffic.
Zach, it's the fact that there was an incident beforehand and he was just collateral at that point.
Yep, he was. He had his own incident, and then there was an accident happening behind him that has poleaxed into him. Innocent bystander, purely and simply. Now, whether or not they were having the incident as a result of seeing him and trying to check up and take evasive action remains to be seen. Sam Chapman's had a moment up at turn 3, and he's a sitting duck there as he gets back going, but not before losing at least 10 places. And Damon Woods still nipping at the heels of Zach Rattray-White. And believe it or not, Jake, this is only the end of lap 6. We've got another 8 to go. And in some good news, I believe, we're going to have a new server to check into to get race 3 race 2 put away for the night as well. So we're actually going to still get the full complement. So that's good news for all and sundry.
So effectively, we'll go 1-3-2 in terms of the way we're racing tonight by the sounds of things. And that's going to be great news that we'll get our full quota of racing going on. Hugo Allen with the fastest lap there in 3rd place. As look at Damon Woods soar away at the steering wheel over the top of turn 1. He's got to be very careful. He descends down the hill. Now, I just want to illustrate here there that you've got this spray that comes off here. That's always going to be difficult to drive in and close to. That's why sometimes that when you see all the spray that's there, you often dart to about a half a car width out. So you go about to that space there, you look for this box to go, okay, that's where I want to be. Of course, not when you're on the right side of the line there, but when the car moves over, you're thinking, right, where do I want to be? Sometimes I want to be half a car width out, so it just gives me enough room to go and give myself a sight line into the next corner.
And Rattray-White presenting no opportunity, no clear-cut, real opportunity. Not yet sending the invitation to Damon Woods to say, here you are, door open, sir, make your way through. And this has been an ongoing cracking scrap all season long. Now in the wet, in the Styrian Hills as well. And Woods was challenged in qualifying in drying conditions, there's no doubt about that. But he's proving on a properly wet track that he's still the benchmark of this field. And the only one that stands close to challenging him every step of the way is Zach Rattray-White. Black flag, 10-second penalty for Jacob O'Reilly for contact with the 8 earlier in the piece, as well as they make their way back to the main straight. Looking at the top 10 with a view to potential inverts for race 3 so that we still get that portion of the evening away with as well. Lachlan Capel holding down 10th right now. So it'll be interesting to see what the powers that be can do with all of that, setting new servers and the like. I think there'll be a slight delay to proceedings while we get that 3rd race organised and ready to go.
So Seth Brown going over, and he's going to get a tap from behind there from Lachlan Capel. This is 8th, 9th and 10th. Your battle going on, and Seth Brown really under pressure at the moment, trying to deal with all of this. Ewan Baker, his day is done and dusted as well now, so he's going to have to get back in and hope that he finds a run. Capel now is going to go to the outside, popping out from behind the spray, looking to run the tightrope up there. And look at that there from Seth Brown, just feeds him the door and says, you ain't going to find any room on the outside of me, buddy.
They're arguing over 9th at the moment, but you'd think they were arguing for a podium finish. Technically, if we go invert top 10 for race 3, they are arguing over who will be on the inside and the outside, 1st and 2nd of that front row. And in behind them, they've got to be mindful of the presence of Miles Burgess, who was in that invert front row a moment ago. Now he's on the outer trying to get back in. And Brocky Gilchrist in 12th place as well. Would love another top 10 finish. Feeling a little bit robbed that he didn't get to start from the pole after finishing 10th in race 1. Rattray-White, Woods, Allen, Kerr and Hodge, the top 5 here. Great run, Angus Lawford. Good run. Solid run, Harry Lawrence. Tommy Bewley overdue for an appearance in the top 10 here. is up 17 spots in this race. That's a recovery and a half.
And all the while, you've got these two at the front, Zach Rattray-White and Damon Woods here. These two at 0.2 of a second, giving each other everything they possibly can. Woods, fastest lap, well over the curb then from Zach Rattray-White. The rain has stopped. We are in a dry period at the moment, but Category 1 rain is going to be on the horizon. So this track is drying out, but there is going to be a little smattering towards the end of this race that might add a little bit more precipitation in. And the more that they are running here with these tyres, the more that they hollow out to sort of an intermediate as they go. So you're looking around a little bit more rain, Zach, could be enough to see a lot more slip and slide.
Exactly right. I was just contemplating the idea of, will it dry out to a point where you'd contemplate dries? Absolutely not. It was one of those half a second thoughts that quickly evaporated because there's not enough time left in this race to necessitate a change of tyres to combat that time lost on pit lane doing that. But also, we're not going to get to that point. There was too much water put down during the first 8 laps of this race. And as you can see, there's still a solid trail of water following in the wheel tracks of the cars as they make their way around this circuit. So they're trying to clear it at this point, but to no avail. And with a bit more rain on the way, yes, she's a fully wet race, ladies and gentlemen. Back to Brock Gilchrist now in 12th under pressure from Rick Kuznetsov.
Yep, so this now going to be for position, and it's starting to open up here for your top 10. Gaps are plenty that we're starting to keep a good focus on, but right now, Kuznetsov there trying to hold steady, and again, Damon Woods with the fastest lap, but he lost time on that lap to Zach Rattray-White, who did a 38.2, as now here comes the move then from Lachlan Capel. Easy done on Seth Brown to get the pass. The reason why Zach Rattray-White has done the fastest lap of the race, but it's not the fastest lap officially, Zach. He had an off track on his lap.
Yeah, that'll do it every day of the week. So he will have triggered the iRacing alarm, and yes, no purple box there as a result for him. We'll wait and see. Black flag, Stephen McCartan. Geez, his night's only got worse since he spoke to me on the grid walk. And another 10-second penalty coming his way for contact with the 222, which was Jacob O'Reilly a short while ago.
Race control.
Oh, no, trouble.
That's trouble. Yeah, Simon Mesmo in trouble there at the Interveton. Race control have just confirmed. Race 3 will be there in a brand new server. And look at that, Simon. He's going backwards. Now he's going to try and find a J-turn to try and get himself sorted. He still can't get there. Flicks it back into first gear and does a regular turn.
And who was that there waiting with him? Corey Lazarus as well. So was there contact between those two cars as they make their way down the hill? Lazarus and Massimo. And lap 10 of 14 on the OG Gear replay. We believe confirmation will come that was indeed the case. Zach Rattray-White, Damon Woods, Hugo Allen, Zach Kerr. No change at the top end of town. In fact, no change in the top 8 at the moment. Bewley sitting 8th, Capel 9th. There's the contact. Bang, gone. Actually, well, yeah, there was multiple bits of contact there, but the main one, Lazarus into Vidas. Vidas was into the car in front, just getting a little bit checked up, which unsettled him, but the Concertina knock-on effect also implicated Corey Lazarus, who now slots down into 34th position. And his night has gone from bad to worse. It started out so well with a promising showing in qualifying, caught up early in incident in race 1, and he's been trying to chase his tail from there, albeit to no avail.
It's been tough, and Corey Lazarus now will realise that he's not looking at can I get victories at this point for auto moves as he runs well off in the grass there off the final corner. Zach, he's now going to have to start thinking about what am I going to have to do to make top 20? I'm going to have to just think about finishing.
Exactly. And there'll be several drivers having that discussion internally at the moment as well. Whereas a couple of them may have already conceded defeat and starting to look at the early part of 2027, thinking we've got some overtime to do with regards to getting ready for the qualifying series, just to secure a spot here in the big dance of the second running of the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational Series. Wide goes Capel, or is that Rankin? Rankin now under pressure from Byron Pearce. Apologies there. Stephen McCartan, Sebastian Varndell also in the thick of this. So too Jacob O'Reilly. We ride on board with Varndell now in 21st as they make their way up the hill. Ratway White, Woods and Hugo Allen continue to run 1, 2, 3. It's very hairy further back. Look at Stuart Ellis now diving down the inside. He pulled it up somehow, but he lost a spot on the exit. There's the contact. They're gone.
And there goes 1, 2, 3 places, and the spin's going to catch out the two Vermilion cars together. Jacob O'Reilly there caught up in it. Ben Pedersen's watching on with McCartan 3 wide as they now look to split the gap on the main straight. Goodness gracious me. Varndell caught up, and now here comes the lunge. 1, 2, 3. He's going to get them both. What a lunge, and a big hip check there onto the side there for McCartan.
From Benny Pedersen, had to see that coming as well. You can just see that hole that Pedersen was trying to wedge his way through, closing ever so gradually. He somehow managed to keep it ajar just enough to wedge his way through safely. I'm still none the wiser as to how Kane Ryder now up on his outside as he bogs it down on the exit of turn 3, and Ryder trying to get by on Stephen McCartan as well. Oh, it's all going off, and this is, I repeat, ladies and gentlemen, for the battle including Byron Pearce and Scott Rankin at the head of that train in 17th and 18th. These guys are all the way back 22nd, 3rd and 4th, and Ryder definitely got a nudge from Benny Pedersen there. You saw the car unsettled through turn number 5. 12 of 14, 2 laps to go at the line. No one stopping the top two at the moment. They're 3.6 seconds clear, 4.4. In fact, Woods has lost out to the tune of 0.8 of a second now to Zach Ratway White. So that margin looks as though it's going to be beyond a shadow of a doubt. A foregone conclusion for Zach Ratway White to go and snag his second win of the night. Rankin now being passed on the inside by Stuart Ellis, and that is for 17th. 18th, rather.
But Scott's coming back, straight back down the inside. He gives it a big old sling to get the chuck on, but it's not going to work for him here in a straight line. Stuart Ellis is going to get the drive, and then Varndell and O'Reilly sit behind and figure out how they want to go about things. A little pivot to the inside, just trying to scare into the opening corner, see if you can force the driver wide. Half works there through the opening corner, so Rankin will get the run here, Zach, down the hill over to the Interveton.
But can he consolidate? Can he secure the spot up here? The run off the corner, off the Interveton, is going to be critical. This is turn 3. That's Ellis to the inside, Rankin to the outside. Rankin will get more acceleration and power down on the exit of 3, and Ellis has to tuck back in and follow once more. There's Sebastian Varndell, 20th at the moment, chasing Stuart Ellis and Scott Rankin as they make their way down once more to turn 4 and 5. This is one hell of a contest, a great scrap for the minor placings. Ben Pedersen down on the inside of Kane Ryder, that's for 23rd. And the arguing and squabbling is going to continue for another lap and a half yet.
Very much is, and here's Zach Ratway White leading coming on to the final lap, but he's only got 0.4 of a second to half a second to go as Barney will wave from the gantry on the right-hand side. Now as they run towards turn 1, it's exactly the same story, except we've turned up the water feature a little bit more. They both push wide over turn 1. Damon Woods can't afford to run that far because he's got a slow down penalty that he's got to serve on the final lap. This looks like Hanlin who's run into troubles there, and he goes speedy. Oh my goodness me. That is not what he wanted to see, him going up and barrel rolling over the top and damaging his car like that. A massive accident as the car dug into the gravel, but Damon Woods is closing down the gap. He served the penalty. He's now looking to try and get this down to 0.3 of a second, and he claws his way under braking right up underneath what Zach Ratway White has to give, but he's not going to get as much drive here out of route as he'll head over under the Falheim Bridge towards turn 6 on circuit, looking to dive down low, looking for as much drive as he possibly can. But he's going to be turning around and realising it's turn 9. Big wide line taken. Needs drive off the exit here. Zach Ratway White looks for everything he can. And once more, these two are staring at each other. But Damon Woods, if he wants it, is going to have to lunge for it. thinking about a way to go and get it done. But once again, it's not there at Jochen Rindt.
No.
Does he have something at the final corner? No, he doesn't. And Zach Rattray-White is at the double. Yes, I got one. Yes, I'll get a second over him. What a moment.
2 from 2. Wowee. He sets himself up for a crack at the sweep tonight. Zach Rattray-White back in business in a big way. On the platforms of the Australian Sim Racing Group and the SimSpeed Esports Network, you're watching the Moza Porsche Pro Invitational Series. Brilliant performance from Zach Rattray-White. 2 from 2 on Damon Woods, who still extends that championship lead. Hugo Allen, Zach Kerr, Tice Hodge, positional battle. Oh, Sam Muir with a slowdown on the final corner. That is costly, hugely costly for Sam Muir. Drops all the way down to 22nd position. Can you believe that? Invert pole to Seth Brown. Woods, Allen, second and third. Curran for fourth. Hodge, Lawford. Bewley back to 7th from 25th. There's your driver, the second race. And then Harry Lawrence in for 8th. Lachlan Capel and Seth Brown. Capel was good too, moving up 8 spots from 7-8. So drivers that have worked their way into what would have been a progressive grid start for race 3 will now likely be an invert. Based on regulations, if we are going back to run race 2 as it was intended, then yes, that will enable Lockie Capel to stare down a front row start along with the pole sitter Seth Brown. But if they decide to go lock, stock and barrel, it'll be Rattray-White versus Woods once more. Brilliant performance from Zach Rattray-White, controlled it beautifully. And a big opportunity to put himself back second on the points table as we leave here tonight. Again, another race of attrition. You saw Seth Brown in for 10th, but Miles Burgess, Rick Kuznetsov, Brock Gilchrist, Dylan Shepherd and Marino Morella in behind that, made up the top 15. Muir in the end dropped to 22nd. Talk about the misfortune. Benny Pedersen, Zach Hanlon, Ewan Baker, Jared McLeod, all retirements in all of that. Dean Mackay limped home, as did Corey Lazarus and Simon Mesimo. So, again, a mix of good and bad luck stories, but we've become accustomed to that on a Wednesday night throughout the course of 2026 so far. Why should the Styrian Hills be any different?
Zach Rattray-White then, once again, this time getting it done in 23 minutes then and 10 seconds. And it does so by a 10th, well, almost 2 tenths over Damon Woods. His winning margin then over the rest of the field, 6 seconds back to Hugo Allen there in third, with Zach Kerr and Tice Hodge for Vermilion, 4th and 5th. Angus Lawford will then be in 6th place with Tom Bewley. What a climb up to 7th with Harry Lawrence, Lachlan Capel and Seth Brown rounding out your top 10. You then got over the page Miles Burgess there in 11th, dropping 4 in the race. Kuznetsov would also drop 4, and dropping 3 would be Brock Gilchrist there to 13th, with Dylan Shepherd 14th and Marino Morella in 15th. All dropped. Gainers though, Byron Pierce in 16th, Scott Rankin in 17th, Stuart Ellis to 18th. Again, 15 spots with Sebastian Varndale and Stefan McCartain making up the top 20 pre-penalty. Then over to 21st, where Jacob O'Reilly had a tough day at the office there with Sam Muir and Sam Chapman. Then the two Sams, 22nd and 23rd, as Danny Davison and Kane Ryder would then round the 25, with Reese Wakefield, Jack Widders, Josh Perwian, also with penalty, Jordan Malcolm, and then Simon Mesimo making up your 30. Corey Lazarus will be frustrated with his performance again there in 31st, as the final cars will be Dean Mackay. It looks like Pat Klein and Ben Pedersen, issues for them on the final lap, with Zach Hanlon there, Ewan Baker, Jared McLeod, and race director Mike in the number 27 car, because the number's a little bit bigger. But ultimately there, everyone has been trying to work hard in this. There will be one more race coming up. It will be a brand new server that will bring it all together for them. So they're going to be very happy that they are going to get that wrapped up and get themselves one more attempt to go around. And critically, Zach, the way that this race has gone around for them, I think they're going to be turning around and looking at this going, right, this hasn't been as clean sailing as we've got. We are going to get all our 3 races, but they're going to be ordered in a way which is going to leave drivers maybe a little bit more antsy than they feel they normally are for what will be this final race of the night.
Yeah, and rightly so. I mean, obviously, it's not ideal what's unfolded, Jake. It is a tech glitch. We're none the wiser as to what's contributed to that or how it's come about, but that doesn't matter. The drivers will want to point the finger and have a whinge about it to somebody because of the way it's either implicated them or obviously impacted and affected their night. So, yes, they'll feel a little bit aggrieved and there'll be some scores to be settled and throw in the fact that they've had now 2 bites at the cherry. And there's been a lot of intensity to get through tonight. The elbows have been out. I reckon this third race that's coming up very shortly, over 14 laps, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be compulsory viewing. It's going to be gloves off, no holds barred. It could well go down as one of the races of the season. We've got a couple of the drivers standing by to have a chat with us in just a few moments, but I know we were talking about going to a break, but let's have a quick look at the weather conditions before we do, because we can tell you that the track is bone dry at the moment by the looks of that. So we don't have to worry about the weather so much for this final race, but we do have to worry about finishing the business of the night that was, and obviously getting to the checkered flag with a view to finishing the night, taking stock, regridding, regrouping, resetting for 2 weeks' time when we reconvene for round 7 for the start of the second half of the season, I should say. Jake, role reversal. I'm going to throw to you for a change because Brock, wicketkeeper, as Brendan O'Brien's nicknamed him, and appropriately so. If you're an Australian cricket fan, you'll get the reference. Gilchrist is standing on by, mate, and it's going to be interesting to see what he has to say. It's been a topsy-turvy sort of outing for him so far.
Gilly, yeah. The understanding of today for you is going to be you've been up, you've been down, you've been looking for opportunities, and through dry and wet, it's been a very firm elbows out style approach from everybody. How have you been able to avoid getting elbows in the ribs, so to speak, over the course of running?
Yeah, it's been a chaos first 2 races, that's for sure, especially with the changing conditions. So it's just been trying to stay out of trouble, to be honest. There's been a couple crashes, so I've just kind of been pushing on and trying to stay clean and also get as far forward as I can.
And so with that focus that you've had results in and around that top 10, which will be some very critical points for you. You came into today walking into the top 10, in 19th in the championship, So you've been looking at the bubble, you've been looking at the cut line and drivers behind. How much are you paying attention to guys like Jack Widders and Byron Pearce struggling, and the guys behind you like Hugo Allo and Tice Hodge having some really good nights?
To be honest, I'm more just focusing on myself and just trying to get the best performance out of myself as the goal. We've had a bit of a struggle in the last 2 rounds, so just trying to pick up the pieces and get some solid points back is the main goal. So I think just some top 10 finishes just all adds to it. So we're just slowly building away, and it's a long season, so keep chipping at the points and see where it ends up at the end.
14 more laps then for you to do tonight. How are you looking at approaching this final race of tonight, knowing you've got Mount Panorama to come along on Mountain Week?
Yeah, I'm pretty keen for the Mount Panorama round. That's certainly an exciting one, but no, it'll just be preparing as much as possible, and then just focusing on this race. Obviously this is the last one for the night, so we'll just chip off and sort of see how it goes. Obviously you can't really plan anything in these races, so we'll just see where we end up, and hopefully it goes well.
Well, the best of luck to you. Brock Gilchrist there joining us and having a night where he's going to look to try and get as much as he can out of the final round's worth of running tonight. We are going to step aside for just one moment. When we come back, we'll be in full play for racing action on race 3 here from this, your Moza Racing Pro Invitational. welcome back. And this is what you have to look forward to on Mountain Week, beginning August 12th, where the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational will hit round 7 of the night with 2 races from Mount Panorama. On Friday, co-driver clash is going to take its focus forward. 34 laps of racing action with everyone who's jumping in the second seat, getting their time in the sun. Qualifying will begin on Saturday at 6:15 for 30 minutes, which will then be followed by the V8 Veteran Support Race for those who are 40 plus, jumping on in at 7 p.m. on August 15th. And then after the V8 Vet, your top 15 shootout will look to book its place. See who is on pole for the Great Australian Sim Race, Zach, of 161 laps, the 1000.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome week, isn't it? Make note of that if you're watching from further afield, ladies and gentlemen. All of those times, Australian Eastern Standard Time, GMT plus 10. So for those of you tuning in the United Kingdom, it's a 1 a.m. broadcast start time on race day. And for those of you further afield in, let's say, the United States, potentially, that's prime time on a Saturday night. That's 9 p.m. on the East Coast or 6 p.m. on the West Coast. It's going to be an absolutely fascinating evening for those of you tuning in from further afield, and a day-long marathon for us. One of the great days on the sim racing schedule. Also, as far as the ASRG is concerned, that is the week of the year, isn't it? And bigger than, better than ever in 2026 with the Porsche Pro Invitational getting us underway. That stays where it normally is on a Wednesday night. The co-driver clash has been an absolute smash hit the last couple of seasons. So that's back on the Friday night. That was the Wednesday night last year, of course. And of course, this is all earlier in the year. This was November last year. I'm delighted to be saying to you and everybody at home that I'm jumping in with Sam Mann and Scotty Rankin on the Sunday for the 161 lap marathon itself. And looking forward to that immensely. It's the final round of their Enduro Cup. Of course, they go back to sprint mode after that. Looking forward to seeing what the vets bring to the table in the support slot this year. That changes year on year, the support slot. The V8 vets hold station there this year. But for us, it'll be the start of the second round, or second half of the season, I should say, Jake. And as I say, tempers might be flaring a little bit at the moment. But it'll be a case of who can get themselves calm, cool, collected, composed with a view to race 3 that'll reap the reward here tonight. And then we've only got 2 weeks to reconvene, to regroup, to reset and go with Mount Panorama. And how good's the back half of our season? We go then to Phillip Island, then to the Bend, then to, of course, the Miami International Autodrome, then to Imola and Adelaide after that. If you're looking at some of the other stuff that's coming your way on the platforms of the ASRG, look at August 5 and August 19 with a view to the Speedway Pro Invitational Series of Sprint Cars. From Lincoln Speedway next up August 5 and Eldora after that August 19. 7:45 for Lincoln, 8 p.m. for Eldora Eastern Standard Time. We've mentioned the Mount Panorama stuff in the middle for Bathurst Week. And of course the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit wraps up a massive August for us here. Now, Jake, I might let you do the honours, mate. We've got some news to pass on with regards to race 3 and how this is all going to play out, or race 2 as it's being known. It's good to see that behind the scenes, the team have worked tirelessly and probably helplessly and thanklessly with a view to setting this third and final race back up to ensure that we get the full quota of the night underway.
So critically, because race 2 got skipped and we immediately jumped into race 3, which took the results from race 1, race 2 has been recreated effectively. If you imagine a race gets washed out and it has to be run the next day at its available spot, this is exactly what's going on. So the top 10 results from race number 1 tonight are being inverted here for this to create the grid for this race coming up, which will, for the efforts of the championship, it will be understood as this is race 2, and with Zach Rattray White's second win of the night done earlier on tonight, that is the win in race 3 done and dusted. So if he wants the triple out there in terms of his result, he's going to have to do it as aggressively as possible. Checkered flag is out, which means we are ready to run down where everyone is going to be starting here from this circuit, as we will note that pole position lands the way of the man we were just talking with, Brock Gilchrist, will be on the front of this field with Angus Lawford alongside for company on the front row. Rick Kuznetsov and Miles Burgess will be third and fourth, with Vermilion and Eclipse, Tice Hodge and Seth Brown. They will be starting from fifth and sixth. Zach Kerr then will have Hugo Allen then alongside as seventh and eighth, with Damon Woods in ninth, and Zach Rattray White having to get it done from 10th position overall. No driver except Damon Woods has been able to get it done from 10th place on a reverse. You got Marino Morella and Dylan Shepherd there on row 12, having a look, with Harry Lawrence and Jack Widders there, 13th and 14th for Impact Sims and CJM. Jacob O'Reilly and Sam Muir, 15th and 16th, with Lachlan Capel and Ewan Baker there, 17th and 18th. Baker and Muir in a line for the Synergy Sim Racers. Then over the page you go again, where you see Sam Chapman and Jared McLeod making up the 20, with Byron Pierce and Scott Rankin, Dean Mackay and Simon Mazzomo there in 24th position in the 954. You then have Tom Bewley, who will have to do it all over again from 25th position, with Jordan Malcolm in 26th, Sebastian Varndell and Kane Ryder 27th and 28th, with Stefan McCartay in 29th, and Josh Perwian all the way back in 30th, which leaves Corey Lazarus to try and climb back up the order from 31st, with Reese Wakefield, Stuart Ellis and Zachary Hanlin after his massive rollover on the final laps. Danny Davison 35th, Pat Klein then the last starter then in 36th position. And something to note is that Race Control do not have their safety car in this session, so I think it will have to be full course iRacing yellows if they are needed out there for this race. Ooh. So that's going to be a little bit of a change up to the norm that maybe we have seen, that's going to extend out safety car periods out there for the way that they all need. They are gridding up with about a minute to go here, Zach. So what are you expecting here on what is a hectic start to these races?
Well, I'm hoping that the temperature in the room has simmered somewhat now that everybody's been told that, yes, we're going back to race 2 as though it was intended to happen. Hopefully that'll calm the angst amongst the competitors here. I'm expecting complete and utter fireworks, though. Invert Top 10 always has produced good racing throughout the course of this season. This will be no different. The first 2 or 3 laps will go a long way to determining the outcome, provided that we can get through it cleanly. There's no reason why Zach Ratway White and Damon Wood shouldn't be able to do what they've done throughout the course of the season and work their way back to the front. But remember what I said at the start of the night, they've got less time to do it than what they've had in the previous rounds of the season. They've only got 60 kilometres to work with, not 100. So yes, it's going to be aggression plus from the outset.
43-degree track temperature. We're just going to get on with it here for 14 laps worth of racing action. Gilchrist and Lawford, your front row. Green flag drops and we're underway. Big bog down from Angus Lawford. Off of the front, he got a great start. He would have feared that he would have jumped, and so he dropped the clutch as he now works up the hill there. Gilchrist unchallenged into the opening corner. Kuznetsov up to second, and now Miles Burgess looking at third as they work through. Everyone has got through cleanly on these hot track temperatures. They work down the hill. Spinner at the back, though, is not going to be too nice to see, so that's going to be dramatic, to say the least, for Stuart Ellis. But as they work on through now, here comes the look for second. Miles Burgess goes in way too deep. Lawford now they're going to be 3 or 4 wide. Then on the exit, trying to get through. What a start as well by Hugo Allen.
Magnificent start from Hugo Allen. That's the way you go about an invert. As they make their way down the hill for the first time, Zach Ratway White under pressure, and 3 wide down to the bottom of the circuit. Lawford through into position number 3, 2 cars wide. One of them was Zach Kerr, the other Miles Burgess, and Lawford under assault now around the outside. Look who it is, D. Woods, fighting for 4th on the opening lap, and they're chasing Hugo Allen as well. Massive start from the championship leader.
He needs this, and he wants to keep anyone who can beat him in sight, but suddenly Angus Lawford is making life really, really difficult here. Kerr is there behind. Seth Brown is there behind, wanting to have a little bit of a go at it. There's been a kerfuffle at the back with Perwin and Kane Ryder on the opening lap of this race, but down into the final corner, they are giving it absolutely everything, and a car spearing wide there is Jack Willis in the back.
They want to gather it up, and of course no puddles on the circuit at the moment, so they're not dealing with the same track conditions as they did in the previous server in races 1 and 3. There's Damon Woods now up in a 4th place, out in pursuit of the top 3. Alan Kuznetsov and Gilchrist, who have converted nicely off the line as they make their way up towards turn 3 once more. Here's a replay on the OG Gear replay, of course. Replay of the argy-bargy at the start. That was the trouble to the left-hand side.
Yeah, that's how quickly it goes wrong, and it's more troubles as they go over to the Intervetta at turn 3. So this will be one of the Vermilion cars further back, trying to hit the brakes. The 28 goes way too deep and goes flying on, and there was a bottleneck up there in the middle with 3 or 4 stock cars.
And there's the hip and shoulder, bang, up and gone. See you later. Oh dear.
What can you do, hey? What can you do? That's a massive smash up there into the barriers. Kerr, though, is the one who is incurring the wrath of places lost at this moment as he now looks to attack Angus Lawford. Look at that. He runs wide. Brown will go through. Suddenly, here comes Zach Rattray-White, who needs the move and crossing the beam then to get the pass. Here's Zach Kerr. He's wanting to keep his points up in the championship. He gets the move as well.
So Kerr goes through, Rattray-White goes through, 6th and 7th now for those pair. Seth Brown just ahead of them. Here comes Miles Burgess wanting a piece of Angus Lawford. So quickly, the floodgates open. It can be difficult to contain them. Burgess opts not to go down the inside at turn 1. Damon Woods has the fastest lap. And all of a sudden, there's Tyce Hodge saying to Miles Burgess, well, if you're not going to make a move, I will.
Yeah, it's attack or be attacked here at the moment as Seth Brown loses out to Zach Rattray-White on the straight, but now here comes Harry Lawrence on the left-hand side. 3 wide they'll be to the Intervetan. How aggressive do you want to be? Lawford leaves the room, just about managed it there. They all managed to get through, and look who's charging up. It's only Tom Bewley, who again has gone from 25th to 11th. He's got a rocket ship.
It's only Tom Bewley. I love the wording of that. Down the hill we go. On the run towards turn 4. Lawford under brakes, under pressure there. Burgess down the inside, back in behind them. Look at the run from Bewley, looking at Lawford now. That's for position number 9, 4 wide. Lawford had 2 wheels in the grass. Can he pull it up? Yes, he can, but not before he gets completely and utterly swabbed. Jack Fittis up there into 11th spot now. I said the gloves were going to be off, but they've revved up the intensity, the aggression, and the attack here, ladies and gentlemen. Have a look at this. Miles Burgess with his work completely and utterly cut out for him as Tom Bewley now comes down the inside, and he'll look to take Tyce Hodge with him.
For P8, my goodness, Tom Bewley. He is driving with so much aggression that everybody else just can't, he's cleaving a path through right now. He is a samurai sword through this field, and no one else has anything to go and work with here. So Damon Woods, fastest lap of the race as he's tried to chase down. They fall in line. Here's a look then down on in, and this is going to be on lap 1, fighting off the exit. So here's the 2 wide, and oh goodness gracious me, a major incident, and that's why you see him way down the order.
So Cable at the next corner, just no grip, dirty tyres, no grip at the next corner. More kitty litter kicked up, more dirt to clean off those tyres. 3 wide down the back straight. Jack Fittis down the inside, Burgess on the outside, Hodge in the middle.
And it's worth noting that, it's worth noting as well, Ben Pedersen, by no fault of his own, could not make the start. So we're getting word he's going to be scoring the average amount of points here that is going to be scored in this race. So he will score points for this one without having to turn a wheel. Look at that 3 wide. Then as they push off the exit, my goodness me. Burgess, Widders, Lawford, Lawrence, Mackay, Hodge, O'Reilly, Varndale, Mazzomo, Shepherd, Muir. Goodness me. How many people want to get passes here in and around this top 10?
And as you can see already on pit lane, Scott Rankin and also Stuart Ellis through the involvement in separate incidents so far throughout the course of this. Only 4 laps of 14. 10 to go at the Red Bull Ring in the Styrian Hills. Across the line we go. Gilchrist doing well to hold sway over Allen, and Woods is only a second away from them now. Rick Kuznetsov slots into 4th spot, but we cannot take our eyes off this battle from Bewley all the way back to almost Simon Mesamo there in 7th position, who we ride on board with now. There he is, Barry Gibb doing his best. I love it. We've been making a BJ's reference all season.
Now, he has got so much force feedback, see it down the gears, so much force feedback, his microphone is shaking into the corners.
Gives you a fair idea with just how well equipped, how good these sim rig setups are these days. Just the real effect of them. We talk about this being the closest that many of these guys get to the real world experience, and they're making sure they maximise the realism of it with the force feedback and all. 5 of 14. Hugo Allen now up in a second spot and chasing Brock Gilchrist. But I think if you're Hugo Allen, you're more worried about the presence of Damon Woods than you are trying to get by Brock Gilchrist at this particular point, because if you don't get by Gilchrist, you immediately open the door for Damon Woods to say thank you very much.
I look around at this for Hugo Allen, and Brocky, big slide coming off of the final corner, and that is going to be huge.
There you go.
Because there goes the pass for the race lead. Brock Gilchrist then sees Hugo Allen move on by into the race lead at Nicky Lauda, and Damon Woods looks to try and take his lunch money when he's already been kicked in the shin, and just like that, Damon Woods will rob him of second place as well. Ruthless stuff.
Yep, and it just goes to show you, I mean, obviously, I was basing my previous comment on a fault-free run for Gilchrist. It wasn't to be. He's made that mistake, and now the floodgates are just open. Trouble at the back. We've got debris on the circuit. We've got Dylan Shepherd and Scott Rankin, is it? No, Dylan Shepherd is one involved, and maybe Mesmo the other. Oh, Zach Hanlon.
Off there in the BM Plus car, he's in trouble then on the outside of the circuit, so he's going to drop back. The steward's going to have a lot of post-race to look at here at this moment in time. Jacob O'Reilly then in 15th, and I note that Zach Rattray-White up to 3rd. He's passed Brock Gilchrist as well, so Kuznetsov will be the next one looking for passes. It is very busy everywhere you look.
Let's have a look on the OG Gear replay here as to what transpired at turn 1, and Simon Mesmo, Dylan Shepherd. Oh no.
Oh, and that anti-cut curb on the outside screams to you, Zach, do not go over me, but every driver does. Now, there was already argument here there going in between Zach Hanlon and the number 51 car there on the outside, and effectively the 51 wasn't going to move for anybody at that point. Just decided my ego's bigger than you, and just said, look, I'm just going to turn you around and it's up to you. Stefan McCartane just going, yeah, I'm just going to drive through your side.
Yep, as you said only a minute ago, race control is going to be working overtime post-race tonight, reviewing the tape. As we say, we don't have the ASRG safety car at our disposal in this race, ladies and gentlemen, but we haven't seen anyone pull the trigger to say, look, let's deploy the iRacing one yet either, so we stay green. Let's have a look at this. Hugo Allen under pressure. Damon Woods has got by to... Sorry, that's Brock Gilchrist, I should say. Hugo Allen went through already. And down on the inside, job done. And Gilchrist slots back into position number 4 and immediately on the defence there to try and cover off position number 5, which is Rick Kuznetsov. So Zach Rattray-White back up into 3rd and immediately onto the tail of Damon Woods, and they are both trying to find a way by Hugo Allen. So it's impressive from both, isn't it? Lap 7, they have given themselves half of the race distance to come to find their way by Hugo Allen and go about it as business as usual, duking it out for race honours here. But Woods, for the first time tonight, has his nose ahead of Zach Rattray-White.
Yes, that's critical, but Hugo Allen is going to do everything in his power as Kuznetsov eyes up Brock Gilchrist, trying to get a position. Seth Brown is there. There's a pass behind. Tom Bewley dispatches Zach Kerr, who struggled then in this race, as Mazzomo still in the pits for over a minute now at this point. So I look at Tom Bewley here. I think top 4 is still possible. There's Damon Woods trying the outside. Hugo Allen scouts it.
So Hugo Allen now. Oh boy. What about this? Simon Mesmo on pit lane, and Byron Pearce with the 30-second penalty for the contact on Sam Chapman. So that's a hefty invoice coming the way of Byron Pearce at the moment. Look at Woods just nipping at the heels, trying to set Hugo Allen up, lure him into a trap. pressure him into a
Got
mistake.
it.
Down the inside. There it is. Nicely done. I didn't think you could possibly get the move done at the next left-hander, but Damon Woods pulls the trigger at the first. Hugo Allen hangs tough around the outside. He's going to run out of road.
Oh, wow, what a way. He just gets the elbow out and says, I'm not lifting, I'm not yielding. Here to Jochen Rindt at turn 9, and Hugo Allen commands the inside, puts a lovely block pass, but up and under, over to turn 10. Damon Woods and Hugo Allen are putting a clinic on. Allen runs wide through the final corner. The 777 comes back across the cover. Zach Rattray White, eyes full of grandeur, looking to try and find his way. Realises, nah, not yet. On the brakes, turn 1. They'll have another chance at the Intervetten.
I'm amazed that Hugo Allen didn't cop a slowdown penalty. He was all the way off the bitumen there. He must have just had an inch of the wheel this side of the white line to ensure that it was fair game. Trouble further back on the OG gear replay. In the meanwhile, we cannot take our eyes off this. Ratway White to the outside. McCartan pulls off to the side of the road, I think it was, to... Stewie Ellis, my apologies. It was one of the OPR entries. Stewie Ellis pulls off. And Hugo Allen again under pressure from Damon Woods.
He's trying the inside. He's got half the car's overlap, but now it's roles reversal. It's going to be Damon Woods on the outside. Hugo Allen on the inside, leading on the side draft here. Zach Rattray White's going to have to find the angle. Movement. What a block by Hugo Allen, but just trying to pick it up with a little bit of hip and shoulder is now going to be Damon Woods. He's tried to hang him out here once already, and he's going to find it doesn't work a second time. Hugo Allen, absolutely wonderful. Zach Rattray White's going to try and push Damon Woods to say, I want as much side-by-side as possible here at this moment in time. And they are bringing the party along as Allen defends, because here comes Brock Gilchrist, here comes Seth Brown, Tom Bewley, Rick Kuznetsov. They're all joining. Everyone's here.
It's a party, and all of them are invited at the moment, because as long as Hugo Allen maintains his stance at the front of this field and continues with this relentless defence masterclass, it's going to bring the pack back to them. They're going to fall back into the clutches of 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. Allen making life extremely difficult for Woods to go to the inside. Ratway White to the outside. Woods to the lead at 3. Ratway White to the up and under. Does he get 2 for the price of 1? Watch Zach Ratway White on the inside. No, the door is closed. Firmly shot by Damon Woods, who's finally clear of Hugo Allen. What a moment. One word from Hugo Allen to stay in this fight, though, Jake. This is extraordinary stuff. Hugo Allen taking the fight with nothing to lose to the top 2 in the championship.
And Zach Rattray White gets through at Rauch Corner, and suddenly it's your top 2 again, up in P1 and P2. So they get the turnaround and say, right, that's the difference maker we were looking for. That's the moment of change that we were expecting, and suddenly Damon Woods can turn the screw, and it's up to Zach Rattray White to sit back there. But I look at what Zach's been doing, the way he's been pushing himself around, just trying to keep the battle up. I think he's been wanting Damon Woods to scrub his tyres by comparison. I think he's saved up some tyre life for the end, Zach.
And time will tell whether you're absolutely right with that theory or not, but this is Damon Woods' race to lose now. Ratway White will try and go with him and try and complete the sweep. Hugo Allen still on for a podium at the moment. Look at Brock Gilchrist, look at Tom Bewley. Bewley, what a night he's had. It's been a seesawing sort of affair. Same can be said for Gilchrist. But the top 2 remain the cream of the crop. They were the dominant forces in race 1. They dominated in the wet in race 2. Now they've found their way clear in race 3. But look at this, mate. 10 laps into this race, early nomination for race of the season. This is some of the best racing we've seen over an extended period all year long so far. What a way to take us to the halfway mark of the season.
What an incredible run that we have seen, but it's still not over and done with. There are opportunities aplenty to go and get these spots. And now Jack Widders then in the back is trying to go for a move here. He's trying to lunge one on Zach Kerr for placement as we focus on your front 3, as we're going to get a little look then at this. This is that rear wing of Hugo Allen, and I am going to take a very good look at that bit there. That is going to be absolutely everything that you need to see. I've got the circle out there at the moment there. That's the rear wing that is ultimately deciding. It's got a bend in it. And ultimately, I would turn around to it and say, uh-oh, that's damage.
And how much is that going to compromise his run home? Is he going to be able to retain? Oh, he had 2 wheels in the dirt coming off the final corner. That tells you that he's already suffering. But he's retaining some sort of pace and track position here, doing everything, throwing everything at it to try and stay with Zach Ratway-White. He's lost the opportunity to get Damon Woods back. He's gone. But Ratway-White is still within striking distance, and at the very worst, he's still a chance for third in this race. Biggest movers in this race. Tom Bewley up 20 spots, 15 for Reece Wakefield, 14 for Sebastian Varndell, and Dean Mackay plus 13. We make our way down the back straight. Third last time. Watch for Gilchrist, watch for Bewley. Can they upstage Hugo Allen here, or will that damage hold up for him? If it's only minimal, he might get away with this. It'll be a stunning podium finish after a stoic defence of Woods and Ratway-White for as long as he was able to keep them at bay. It was extraordinary defence, a real 101 in how to go about defending the benchmarks of this series for anyone that was watching on at home that aspires to be out there with these guys somewhere in the future. And have a look at this. Jack Vittis down on the inside, gets by Zach Kerr. Kerr will hang tough, contact and gone! Vittis is in the wall!
You can't leave no room on that outside. The overlap's still there. And ultimately for Jack, if you're going to start pushing someone out, it's going to be trouble. He's leaving oil over the circuit now with the fact that his engine is gone boom. And so he's going to need to drive that one safely back down to pits as the engine will all but expire. What a disaster for Jack Widders on his day today. A tough day at the office. Here's another look. He tries to hang him out and there's overlap and ultimately he just gets dunked.
Slam dunked. That'll be a DNF. Well, actually, he'll get classified at 75%, but he'll be taking nowhere near as many points out of this race as he would have liked to have been doing so, and that's a tough one. Race control will no doubt have a look at that. Maybe there's an asterisk next to Zach Kerr's name and all that. He's now slipped down behind Dean Mackay, Rick Kuznetsov, Seth Brown as well, and remains ninth, just ahead of Tice Hodge. Look at Hugo Allen. What a great chase this has been from him. He has not dropped off the tail. Zach Ratway-White has not been able to shake off his shadow throughout the remaining half of this race. They got by bang on the halfway mark, did he and Damon Woods. But Hugo Allen has kept them honest every step of the way here with minor rear wing damage. And there's only a lap to go. I don't think Damon Woods is going to be caught. Zach Ratway-White to be denied the clean sweep here, Jake. But what an effort it's been from him on the comeback trail after the disappointment of the Netherlands.
Well, he's certainly shown how much heart and character he's got here and brought Gilchrist to defend fourth against his own teammate, Tom Bewley. This for 21. I said about 6 laps ago when he'd moved up to 8th place. He's got his eyes on 4th place. He's right there with a lap left to say, I could go and steal this one away from Brocky if I want to. Seth Brown is waiting on the back as they go down the hill. It's 3/4 of a second. The gap at the front, which is just what Zach Ratway-White needs to keep Hugo Allen behind. Seth Brown then on the back of this, double toe, looking for any ways to go and make the moves. No chances then under braking here. Up into the Intervetten at turn 3, climbing over the crest here on this roller coaster run to turn 4. Dean Mackay trying to get his 8th place right now as he fights hard with Zach Kerr and also Tice Hodge. He's just seen Zach Kerr go through. Now Tice Hodge wants a piece of the pie if he can go and manage it, and he's not quite close enough, but a half defence given down into route corner where nothing is there. Hugo Allen still hoping for a way that second is available, and if he is going to find it, it's going to have to be at Jockenrink corner, turn 9, if he wants to go and get this pass. Set it up here through Graz. Now you've got to try and get this push over through turn number 8, and he's not close enough in my view to go and get there. But he will know that he's given a real good account against the man who takes the most points out of today, Zach Ratway-White. He can't be faultless, though, because you can't keep this guy off the podium for too much longer. It's Damon Woods, once again, getting a big old win in the back pocket. Zach Ratway-White second, Hugo Allen third, Gilly is fourth, and Tom Bewley from 25th, Zach, to 5th.
One of the deads. Oh, no! On the back! Was that one of the Vermilion cars into the wall right with the finish line in view? Yes, it was. Jacob O'Reilly will have to limp it across the line, either reverse it or flick spin it. But what a costly mistake. What a costly incident on the final corner for him. To go back and finish your point, Jake. I mean, that was... So Jacob O'Reilly slips to 24th. That was as good a Porsche race as we've seen all season. 60 kilometres of the best drivers in the country doing their best work. Props to Hugo Allen, but that defence wall was bound to be broken at some point under relentless pressure from Damon Woods and Zach Ratway-White. Damon Woods gets his 7th win of the season, of course. He got wins 5 and 6 in round 5. He won all 4 sprint races before that. Hadn't converted on a feature until last time out. O'Reilly, just about insult to injury, did it all on his little lonesome. Oh, dear. So, we reconvene in 2 weeks' time, Jake, on the back of an extraordinary night here. We go to Mount Panorama Bathurst, which will offer up a completely different test again to what we've seen here at the Red Bull Ring. And we've thrown everything at these guys tonight. Challenges are plenty, server issues, tech glitches, you name it. These guys have had to contend with everything. Water as well, thrown in for good measure for the first time this season. It has been a cracking night out. We've had Zach Ratway-White restore order after the disappointment of Zandvoort. Damon Woods remains consistent, will extend his championship lead, again, further cementing his place as the form favourite, and I reckon he's a real chance of wrapping it up by the time we leave Imola, which means we'll go to the streets of Adelaide with the minor positions to be played for and sorted out, but not the major.
It's a bold prediction, but it needs to be as faultless as this first half of the season has been for that guy in the number 56 machine who has been simply untenable this season to put back. Zach Ratway-White will do his doughies as well because he knows how important today was for him because he's got 2 wins and a second, and that rests him back to second in the championship with that. What a wonderful display here right in front to mark half a season complete with half a season still to come along yet. Here with us and the Moza Racing Porsche Pro Invitational. Damon Woods wins by 0.997 in a time of 21 minutes 16 as he beats out both him and Hugo Allen to the line, who gave absolutely everything. Brock Gilchrist, great drive for him in Momentum Racing. He's 4th with Tom Bewley 5th. Seth Brown and Rick Kuznetsov are 6th and 7th, with Zach Kerr in 8th, getting ahead of Dean Mackay and Tice Hodge. They're rounding out your top 10 at 9.8 seconds back. Miles Burgess will finish ahead of Sebastian Varndell, with Harry Lawrence and Reese Wakefield then 13th and 14th. Sam Muir, a top 15 finish ahead of Marina Morella and Lachlan Capel, as it would be a climb of 18, by the way, for Reese Wakefield, and a climb of 15 for Seb Varndell. Stefan McCartain there is 18th with Sam Chapman, and Angus Lawford, tough day at the office for him, dropping back from 2nd all the way to 20th. Zach Hanlin had himself turned around. He's 21st with Danny Davidson and Ewan Baker behind. Jacob O'Reilly, final stages, having the big old turnaround then that gives him no love then in terms of this race, with Jordan Malcolm and Jared McLeod 25th and 26th. Dylan Shepherd is the last finisher, with Jack Widders 2 laps down along with Simon Mezomo, and then you've got Stuart Ellis there making up your 30. Scott Rankin, Pat Klein, Byron Pierce, Corey Lazarus, Josh Perwin and Kane Ryder all don't get finishing points out there, and it's worth noting Ben Pedersen will score average points by being ineligible to take to the grid when he wanted to go and race in his regard. That will bring us then to post-race, and it will bring Zach Caban over to your race winner here from this second race of the night, quote unquote, our last race that we've had today. He stood by with Damon Woods.
I am indeed. Thank you, Jake. Well done. We love being technical, don't we, here on the platforms of the Australian Sim Racing Group. And we also love being clinical as well. We love watching drivers at their clinical best. And Damon Woods, let's be honest, you did everything you needed to do tonight. Second to Zach Ratway-White in races 1 and 2. You restored order and got one up on him in race 3 to ensure that he couldn't get a clean sweep. And you did it your way, mate. You did it in the same way, I reckon. I looked at it and described it on air. The same way you attacked the feature race at Belgium with the championship, the bigger picture in mind. There was no need to send it on Zach Ratway-White. Given the buffer you've got on him and the rest of the pack at the moment, you couldn't have asked for a better run tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the car was on rails, so I can't really complain there. And obviously the rain threw up a surprise as well. But yeah, I mean, as you said, there's no need for me to do stupid bombs and lose time and potentially have cars that are behind us, catch up and go for stupid bombs themselves. So yeah, I played the points game. That's all I needed to do, and then yeah, had a bit of fun in the reverse grid. Zach definitely had it a lot harder than me. I got through them pretty quickly, but yeah, it was a tough battle with Hugo at the end there. But yeah, we were able to just to get the muscles out a little bit and yeah, come on top.
You sliced and diced beautifully, I thought, on the opening lap there, mate. I need to ask you a question with regards to the start of the night, because we arrived here and we're not seeing your name at the top of the summit, and we're like, hang on, is this the change of the guard? Is this the spanner in the works that we've been waiting for? Is this the night where things go against the grain, against the narrative? And to a point there, after qualifying, we thought, hang on, this could well be the great equaliser, because you didn't have qualifying all your own way, nor practice. Talk us through the challenges faced there.
Well, practice was a tricky one because initially the track started out with 0% usage. So going out on a wet track with 0 track state is always going to be faster. So it was whoever put the lap together at the very start. And then as we progressed through the practice session, rubber kept getting put down by the wet tyres. So the normal, the traditional racing line was getting slipperier. So you had to use alternate lines, which was slower. So you were never going to go faster at the end of the practice. But even then, I was getting the boys to see what other people were doing relative to us, and we were still faster. So I wasn't too concerned about that. And then, yeah, quali, I just didn't put the lap together when I needed to. Probably pitted 1 lap too late in terms of getting a new set of tyres. And I just didn't, adapt to some of the line choices that were clearly faster. But we put that into practice for the second race, so I'm not too fast.
All right, I'm getting the wrap up here already. Let me ask you a compound 2-part question on the way out. Firstly, are you expecting more pressure from the likes of Hugo Allen, who can afford to send it and have nothing to lose at this point of the championship going into the second half of the season? And how do you go about it when we start the second half of the season, beginning with Mount Panorama in a couple of weeks?
Well, I mean, I know Hugo's extremely quick. He's in PES regionals for a reason. So he's shown, in this series as well, that he's fast. So in that, I'm not too worried. I think I know what I need to do in terms of the mental side of things and to play it smart. So like I said, I'm not too worried about that. And then, to answer the second part there, look, if he's going to go for a silly move and I can see it coming, I'm going to probably err on the side of caution. Probably going to use that against me now, so it is what it is. But in the end, I know I've got a points buffer as well, so I can get the elbows out a little bit to the point where I'm not trying to write the car off, but I can definitely assert my position in the right way. So I think it'll be interesting as we head to Bathurst. Traditionally, I've always been very quick there, so we'll see how we end up. But yeah, now the second half of the season starts, and yeah, I'm glad that the start was as good as it was, and it makes my second half a lot easier.
Traditionally, and I don't mean to extract the you-know-what, but traditionally, and with the evidence to back it up, you've been quick every bloody where, Damon, so we expect nothing less in the second half of the season, mate. Apologies, the voice box is starting to go on me. Thank you again for jumping on here and having a chat with us. Well done tonight. Brilliant show, brilliant performance, brilliant first half of the campaign. Go out there and finish the job in the second half of the season, mate. Go well.
Cheers, boys. Have a good one.
Mr. Sperry, you're going to have to save me here. I've got a frog in the throat, and you've got the race. And sorry, not the race winner necessarily from the last one that we saw, but certainly the dominant force of races 1 and 3, and therefore the round of the night as well. And it's nice to see him back in victory lane.
Zach Rattray White here with me. Zach, P1, P2, season back on track.
Yeah, I'd like to say it's back on track, but I think the damage was really done in Zandvoort. It was nice to have a PC that didn't decide to freeze on me. Over the little break, we spent a lot of money and time putting a whole new thing back together. So, new CPU, new graphics card, new everything, new RAM, new motherboard. So, it's all brand new. I think that's my biggest problem at the moment. I think we got the pace to match Damon on the day. I think a lot of my success tonight was down to the track conditions when it mattered, especially through qualifying. It made it a little bit hard for him in the first few races, but to take a few points back off him and fight the guys that were in second and third in the championship definitely makes my life a little easier for Bathurst.
And let's talk about now how you manage that, because you're on a tightrope now of I've got to execute every race between now and the end of the season. So how does that mindset change in terms of going from, oh, okay, I'm just racing, to, okay, I'm racing and I have to be dialed on straight away?
Yeah, I like there's a fine line, especially when there are, you know, tracks that are hard to pass on. It certainly makes an overtake difficult, pulling it off cleanly, and I think the main thing is just to qualify good. I think if you can set yourself up from the get-go, like Damon has the entire season, it makes your life so much easier. And I think from now, I do need to be aggressive to get points back, but I think we have good enough pace that it's not a necessity. Like, you don't need to be on people's asses the entire time, you know? So I can play it safe and still get good points, but I do need to be aggressive.
Yeah, it's a lovely attitude to have. Just very quickly, Mount Panorama, is that going to be a happy hunting ground for you?
I hope so. I think a lot of my time and effort is going to be spent on the supercar, so I'll leave all the setup work to Damon and Marino and whoever wants to put in time and effort, but they seem to be the Porsche gurus, and I can just drive the car and try and be as quick as them on the day, so I'll leave that up to them.
Absolutely. Zach Rattray-White then, a great recovery day today. P1, P1, P2 for his role and response here from this Red Bull ring. In terms of what's coming up, our next work with ASRG is Lincoln Speedway as we go dirt style out there for running. You've got Mountain Week that comes up then, because you've got ourselves coming along, round 7 then of the championship then. That'll be on August 12th. On the 14th, the co-driver clash. Saturday, your triple header billing, qualifying, the V8 Vet support race and the top 15 shootout, and then the magical Great Australian Sim race, the Bathurst 1000 for 161 laps. You're going to absolutely want to jump in and see all of that amazing action here from the entire team here today, from all of the work the spotters have done, all the work that the race control does, the likes of Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, Zach Caban alongside myself, Jake Sperry. This was a day to wrest back control. We saw that opportunity present itself for Zach Rattray-White. He knows that that's going to give him a little smile going to halfway. New PC, new attitude, no problems. Win-win second. Damon Woods mitigates it, second, first, but it's a light chink heading over towards Mountain Week. We'll see you with more amazing sim racing action as we head over to you from Mount Panorama.